Welcome one and welcome all to the greatest horror movie review podcast in the multiverse and beyond. Why, it's Dead and Lovely. Here with the host with the most, it is I, once again, as Uncle Ben.
And me, Hollywood Steve.
Oh man, you got that sexy, smoky voice over
this
there.
This week on Dead and Lovely, a very special episode.
Are you trying to get back into competition with Delilah again? Is that what's going on?
Yeah. Because, all right, here's the real shit.
Lay it down.
I heard she was talking shit.
It's been a while.
It's been around town. People been saying, like...
The feud between Dead and Lovely and Delilah has been long documented. It used to be a pretty big feature on some of those early episodes. I feel like the flames kind of died down for a little bit, but that bitch want to talk some shit.
Yeah. She's spreading shit around town, so... It's on, Delilah.
It's on.
Yep.
It's back on.
Gonna punch you in your old lady face.
Old lady face. I've never seen Delilah. I don't know what she looks like.
I assume she's older, right?
I think.
In my head,
like whenever I hear her, I assume she looks like all of our moms in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, like definitely like there's some shoulder pads. There is.
She's got some of those gradient glasses that are like rose colored.
Oh, dude, I always fucking hated those.
Those are hideous.
I hated those. When I was a kid and like somebody's like, you know, mama or somebody's wearing those, I'd always be like, God damn, I hate how those look.
Yeah.
Could you imagine all day, every day, indoors, you're looking through gradient light? Like colored light? That has to be awful.
Can you imagine fucking anybody in the 80s?
No. Gross.
Just get away. Sorry. You're all gross.
Steve, it's been about maybe 45 minutes since we casted.
That's true.
Been a while. It's been a while. How you been doing since last time we casted, Steve?
Oh, good. I ate a Taco Bell steak power bowl, no rice.
Yeah, keeping them carbs low. Good idea, because we're drinking co-beers.
That's true. And then we talked about what we were going to talk about on this episode.
Wow, man.
So that's all I've been up to.
Pretty exciting stuff, man. Yeah, me too. Funny, I've been doing the same stuff since last time we did an episode.
I introduced you to Memphis, Kansas Breeze.
Which is the greatest thing I have ever heard, and now my life is complete.
I know. I put it up when like a couple weeks ago when we were doing the Friday night streaming chat. In between the movies, I put that up. Nobody seemed to appreciate it. Then I posted it on the Dead and Lovely group. Nobody even liked it.
Dude, I adore it with every fiber of my being.
I think people are immediately turned off by the sound of twangy guitar. They're like, I don't want to hear some country bullshit.
Oh, come on. Of course you do.
Yeah, listen to it. It's really fucking funny.
I could not believe it. I had tears streaming down my face.
So funny.
Human Skin Truck, baby, y'all.
Human Skin Truck, baby. Skin Truck, baby.
That's the song that you never knew that you needed.
You never knew you needed it in your life, but you do.
Holy shit. I was dying.
Yeah,
Truck School Prom. Amazing song right there.
It's Carl Tart, who's a writer for Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and Drew Tarver, who was in Bajillion Dollar Properties, is in something else now on TBS. I haven't watched it yet, but I hear it's really funny. Anyway.
Right on.
Memphis, Kansas Breeze. It was on Comedy Bang Bang, if you're wondering what we're talking about.
I'm already kind of parched. I know we just started the show, but I'm already kind of parched. I could go with a pull.
Me too.
How about we get into a perennial artisan ales Hopfen tea? Is that what that says? Hopfen tea?
It says Hopfen tea.
Was this an RDM beer?
Yeah.
The notorious RDM
RDM gave us this. It is
one right here.
Berliner Weiss style ale with tropical tea.
I'm excited about that. It looks like it's got a guava or something on there.
So it's in collaboration with Hop Leaf. So
look at that.
I'm interested.
There's a hibiscus on here. Looks like maybe a papaya or something going on.
Something fruity going on there.
I'm excited to try this thing out. I hope that it offers up some tropical tart goodness.
Me too.
Dude, I'll tell you what. I had something the other night over at...
It's pinkish.
Yeah, it kind of is.
It's pretty.
I had something over at Merchants of Beer here in Knoxville the other day that about blew my damn dick clean off. It was I don't know, like, it looks like on the board, it looks like it's Delta 5, but the bartender said Delta V.
Okay.
So I don't know which one it's supposed to be, but it's by D9 Brewing.
Okay.
And it is a sour. It's like a pineapple and coconut sour.
All right.
That is 14%
Jesus.
And dude, it is unbelievable.
Huh.
I have never had any beer or wine or anything that was that high proof, that was disguised that well.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's not boozy.
No, like not at all. Like it's absolutely 1,000,000% dangerous.
And on what level of sour are we talking about?
Extremely punch you in the face sour. Yes.
That sounds awesome.
Dude, it's killer. But it's not, again, like I usually say, it's not that bile, nasty, I threw up in my mouth sour.
That's not fun.
This is like real fruit, citric acid sour, and it is crazy awesome, man. I've got to get us some. What's that smell like?
It smells like something we've had before.
Yeah, that does remind me of something.
Yeah, something I think we liked a lot.
I want to say so. Some of these Berliner Weisses do kind of have a similar smell, I assume, due to whatever bacteria or whatever's in there. Kind of like that fruit cup one that we had.
Yeah.
Is it good?
That's good.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's got a good sourness that goes away pretty quick. It's nice and refreshing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And then on the back end, it really does just kind of taste like a nice tea or something. Like you've just had like a nice... have you ever had
like
any
a
of those...
raspberry tea or something?
Yeah. I was going to say like a fruit-flavored cold tea. Damn, that's nice. It's not too sugary sweet.
Sippable.
It's not awfully harsh sour either. It's like you said, the tartness goes away reasonably quickly.
Yeah, it's only 4.2% as well. We've been sticking
nice
on the lower side because we had 2 episodes to record in a row.
Don't want to get too fucked up.
Yeah.
We also had us a little sip of that Bumbu XO dark rum that I got.
Jesus,
fuck, that stuff is awesome, man.
Yeah.
This summer has been kind of like my awakening of my dark rum pleasures.
More like rummer, am I right?
It might be like that. The summer of rummer.
The summer of rummer.
Might be like that. And I've been trying out all these different rums and like dark rums and stuff over the summer, but I think that's actually the one that I found that's the best like price to taste ratio.
Yeah, I've tried a few. You've given me a few as we've gone through, and that is definitely the best one I had.
I think so too.
It's like there's no real trace of like an astringent quality,
right?
Like it just has the spices to it. It's got a nice burn to it, but it doesn't taste. It's not like that nail polish remover type of taste.
Yeah. Like a lot of like cheap rums and stuff definitely have that, and that's what I don't like.
Captain Morgan's for sure.
Yeah, or even just like Bacardi Gold or whatever.
Bacardi, yeah.
You know, a lot of those kind of have that going on. Yeah, it's got like some darkness and some complexity to it. I like the ones that have that kind of molassesy kind of taste to them. You know. It's really good. I enjoy it. It's crazy though. Like, man, the amount of different rums and stuff that are out there and how there seem to be no like regulations
on what is a rum.
Yeah, or like qualifications of what it will be like.
Yeah.
Dude, country to country, it's completely different, completely
Jamaican
crazy.
rum is way different than like
Bohemian?
No.
Bohemian rum.
Yeah, those Bohemian rums.
Bohemian
out of
rum
the Czech
city.
Republic.
Yeah, that's right. The guy at the liquor store the other day, whenever I bought that Bumbu, let me try some stuff that was like a Venezuelan rum. I can't remember what it was called. It was crazy weird. It almost had like this medicinal, like cough syrupy taste to it. Like the same way that like Jaeger has that medicinal kind of thing. It had that going to it, but it was a dark rum.
That's interesting. And
then the regular Bumbu almost has this like banana bread taste to it.
That's like whenever a rum has that banana-y flavor to it, I'm not really into it.
Yeah, whenever I got
think
that,
it could go good in some cocktails, but
like a banana daiquiri or something
like that.
Yeah, whenever I got that first bottle of the regular Bumbu, initially I was like, whoa, it has like a banana bread, vanilla cake kind of flavor.
Yeah.
But about like halfway through the bottle, I was like, I'm really very tired of this. Because it was just kind of like a one note kind of thing, you know?
Okay, so we did this thing one time. My wife was there. It was called Bananarama.
Bananarama.
Yeah, where basically we just all got together and we had this idea for making banana desserts. So we started making all these banana desserts.
Bananarama, okay.
And we ended up eating so much banana that I started to hate the taste of banana after a while.
Wow.
And after a while, it was just gross. So it was a long time before I was like, I want a banana.
Back to bananas again.
Banana could be a real overwhelming flavor.
Yeah, I can understand that. Artificial banana is one of the most loathsome of flavors, man.
I don't know, though. I love that. I love a banana Laffy Taffy.
See, I was going to say I hate a banana Laffy Taffy, but I do enjoy banana popsicle.
Okay. I like
the yellow banana popsicle.
Yeah.
That's another, we were talking about Southerners adding R's onto words like we do a lot of times. Banana.
Uh-huh.
I'm a fan of that. Nanners.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, a lot of like artificial banana flavor things to me just taste like fucking bullshit. It's one of those fruit flavors they've never really gotten right. Like artificial grape flavor.
Watermelon's nowhere near.
No.
Watermelon.
Never.
If you got a watermelon that tasted that sour, you'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with this watermelon?
Yeah, you know, that's kind of a weird thing. And I do like the taste of artificial watermelon, like whenever you have like a blow pop or something like that.
I love that flavor.
Like
it's not watermelon though.
But it just kind of finally hit me. Yeah, real watermelons aren't sour even remotely. Yeah. But artificial watermelon flavor is always like really tart, like a watermelon Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, because I mean, otherwise, like I've eaten my fair share of watermelon. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, I love it.
It doesn't exactly have a distinct flavor.
Tastes like a melon. You know?
Sweet and refreshing. It's got a little melony flavor in the back, but it's just mostly sweet.
Yeah.
And it's nice to chew on. It like has that sort of cotton candy aspect where it
dissolves
sort of
immediately. Yeah.
That's it. Like you can't capture that in a candy. Or can you?
Have you seen that shit where like people have taken a watermelon and made it like a ham, like a glazed ham kind of thing? It looks really strange.
It's very odd.
Have you ever had it?
I can't imagine cooked. No, I haven't. Can't imagine cooked watermelon.
No, because I imagine like when you cook it and you're letting the moisture out of it.
Yeah.
Probably all that's left is just like fiber.
I say that, but people do grill watermelon, but I think that's a little bit different. Like grilling
this looks
you're
like
basically
roasted.
grilling it, you're just getting like some grill lines on it. Adds a little smoky flavor.
A little sear. Yeah.
Roasting it, like it's in the oven. What, 45 minutes at least?
I think so.
What is that? When you're done with it, what does it taste like?
I can't imagine.
I kind of want to try it.
Yeah, I do too. I can't lie, man. I definitely want to try it. Well, dude, one thing that I did happen to watch this week that I didn't talk about on the last episode is we sat down and finally checked out Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah.
Which is the PG-13 rated cut that's on like Hulu and stuff right now. And it's completely framed like The Princess Bride, Fred Savage included. And it's framed in this way where it's like Deadpool has like kidnapped him and meticulously recreated the Princess Bride set. He's got him like taped to the bed and stuff.
It's a very Deadpool thing. Like that's exactly
it's so Deadpool perfectly Deadpool, dude. Oh my god, it's so fucking great. It's so hilarious.
You don't lose anything.
I know, that's the thing about it.
I mean, yeah, the unrated R version is better, but it's just different. Like you just lose some of the cussing. You don't see Juggernaut's ass.
Oh yeah, I guess not. I forgot about that.
That's about it.
But all the cuts, whenever it just keeps going back to him and Fred Savage, I was dying, man. It's so fucking funny. It's so great. I wish there was like more of them.
Shawn had showed up at some point to just be like inconceivable.
Yeah, of course. Have him say it.
Yeah, but have him say it like he didn't want to say it.
Yeah. All right. Inconceivable.
All right. Inconceivable.
Yeah. Can I get my check now? Deadpool 2 is so great. I forgot how absolutely amazing Zazie Beetz is.
She's
in
the
there.
best. Gosh,
dude,
have you
the
seen
Domino
Atlanta?
Character is so great. No, Kate has watched it and said it's fucking awesome, man. Really cool. Yeah, loved it, man. Such a great flick. And other than that, like on a little bit more horror-related note, I've been continuing my journey through the It audiobook.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Narrated by Steven Weber.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He's doing a great job.
I bet that guy's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that Shining miniseries wasn't his fault.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's, you know what? That's a great review.
Yeah.
Wasn't his fault. But he does like little voice affectations, for the different characters, but never goes into full on like it's story time, I'm playing it out mode, And so far, okay, it's a gigantic book.
It's huge.
So far I'm like 6 hours into it, and like the adults haven't even met yet.
Yeah, that's the book I remember.
Yeah, because the thing about it is of course, we've done the miniseries here on the show. We did both parts of the new movie here on the show. The second part's coming out recently here, and I already feel like I know way more about the town of Derry and its history and the characters and stuff than I ever did before.
Yeah, there's so much more to the book.
So much. Yeah, there's like all these little side stories about just like, here's some other bad shit that happened here.
Yeah, it's just like bad shit upon bad shit upon bad shit. Yeah.
And some of it will be like articles from books that Mike read researching the history of the town. It was just whole different articles about this stuff.
That's a fun exercise for a writer too. You get to try to write in a different voice.
Well, that's the thing that I was talking to Kate about the other day. It's like, it really feels like Stephen King has an entire history of every person in that town figured out. And it's crazy how in-depth it is. It doesn't necessarily make it entertaining.
That's true.
But it is impressive.
It is impressive.
You know, it's the kind of thing where it's like, after they started making the Gran Turismo games, like more and more and more and more realistic, where it's like, well, after 30 seconds of driving at this, 70 mile per hour speed, your tires have heated up, so their molecular density is different, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, great, guys. Is it fun to play?
Doesn't sound like it.
Because that's the thing, is like, just adding more detail and stuff doesn't necessarily mean better.
Did you ever play Bill Elliott Racing on
I think I
NES?
did. Hang on.
That game had the most ridiculous specifications.
Yeah?
Like, you had to change so much about your car. And we would go through and...
For NES.
Yeah, we would change, like, an angle by, like, 1/10 of a degree, and then run a lap to see how it runs, then another 1/10 of a degree, and then run a lap, and just keep going and writing down the results.
Wow.
Like,
this is truly like the predecessor to Gran Turismo. Yeah. Because that's totally Gran Turismo stuff.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But it was also fun. I mean, we had fun doing it. We ended up finding it. But the thing is, like, every raceway would need different specifications.
Yeah, so you have to do it over every fucking time, man. Wow. Yeah, so I already feel like I have so much detail and backstory about the characters in the town and stuff. And then I look and it's like, you have 40 more hours to go. And I'm like, Jesus
what are we gonna learn?
Man. Yeah, dude. It's like, that is a whole lot of time to spend in that world. I mean, like I said, I'm enjoying it. There's a lot of stuff in there that is very 1950s dated, where like the kids are getting chased by it and it turns into the teenage werewolf, or the creature from the Black Lagoon and stuff like this. That's obviously very of its time, that I think now looking back at it, considering they put the new series in the 80s, they totally should have put fucking Freddy Krueger and Jason and all these other characters in there.
Been awesome, right?
There was a rumor that they were gonna do that.
Really?
Yeah, and even I think we're far enough away here from It Part 2 to do massive spoiler warnings. There's a part where we have the older Eddie, and he's in like the basement of the pharmacy. You remember his mom is tied up, and there's like the person with like the bag over him, that's like fighting to break free of his restraints to get to the mom or whatever. I was so hoping Freddy was gonna slash out of that.
That would have been cool.
Like, how sick would that have been?
That would have been really cool.
That would have been fucking cool. Yeah, because it really plays on the fact that the kids go to the movies and they watch these scary movies and
and those
read
are
horror
the movies
comics
they
and stuff.
I mean, they even had the Nightmare on Elm Street 5 marquee as the kids.
Yeah, they were teasing it, man. They were teasing it. So I think they probably could have taken advantage of some of those properties. But I'm enjoying the book. It's one of those things that, especially now when we're in, packing and moving and fixing up the house mode, getting ready to move and all that. It's one of those things I'll just turn it on and spend a couple hours in that realm while I work on the house or whatever, and it makes the whole thing a lot more bearable, It's one of those things too where I know that I'm gonna have like fond memories and stuff. Like, whenever we moved into this house that we're in now, this is the first house that Kate and I bought together. As I was doing a lot of like the house painting and unpacking boxes and stuff like that, it was right when Opeth had come out with the Heritage album. Okay. Which, if you're not familiar with that one, that was kind of the record where Opeth entered into their, what I'm calling the shag carpet phase of their existence. Opeth formerly had been this like progressive, quasi black and death metal band with all these progressive elements, where it would be like really heavy and then really harrowing and pretty sounding stuff all over the place. But starting with this Heritage album, they started doing this just like 70s prog thing. Like, it just sounds like 70s prog music. But that record came out right when we moved in, and so I think you always kind of like really distinctly remember the things that you were watching, listening to, consuming, playing, whatever during like those big periods of change in your life, So I don't know, maybe now I'm jinxing it. Now that I know that I tend to do that, now
You're thinking too much about it.
Yeah.
Your brain can't do it naturally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe in 10 years I'll be like, now what in the world was I thinking whenever I was moving into this other house or whatever?
What in the world?
What in the world? I'm going to change the way I talk in the future.
Yeah.
Now, what in the Sam Hill? That's my future voice.
Hey now.
That's Great Uncle Ben.
Great Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Don't piss off Great Uncle Ben. He'll lecture you. That's what Great Uncle Ben does.
I think so, man. Yeah, so I'm enjoying it. Like I said, it's helping pass the time and stuff as I pack away my life and enter my next phase of existence. What have you been up to this week, Steve? You been watching or listening to anything cool?
I started Good Place season 3.
I've never watched any of The Good Place.
You should watch The Good Place.
I think that Kate has watched some of it and she said it's pretty good.
It is. It's pretty good. That's accurate.
It's pretty good. Got it. What's it on right now?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
Netflix. It's got Kristen Bell. It's got Jamila Jamil. Gosh, who else? Ted Danson, Darcy Carden. Just a bunch of really funny people.
Ted Danson from Creepshow?
Yeah, the very same.
There we go.
I love Ted Danson.
Yeah, he's
such
awesome.
a fan.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He is so good in it. It's a really philosophical sitcom where like they get into real deep philosophy by showing it in real world situation. Like it basically is. It's a good basic philosophy course.
Philosophy.
With like each philosophy they're trying to show you, they can show you in a very concise and funny way. And I don't want to reveal too much about it.
Okay.
Because there are some twists and turns. But, I mean, the setup is Kristen Bell wakes up in heaven. She's died. So... It gets good. It gets real good. I mean, it's immediately funny, but it gets like real, like you really start to think more and more about it as you go.
Yeah,
and you start to like it even more. It's such a fun show, and I love Darcy Carden. She's in she was in Broad City, and she's in Barry now. Like she's so funny. I'm glad she's getting more work because she's like people need to see her. She's just hilarious.
I'm sure I'd recognize her. The name doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
So she was on Broad City. I know I saw her.
Tall brunette lady. She worked at the gym with them.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yep, I know exactly who you're talking about.
She plays basically like if Siri on your phone was a physical being in heaven.
Oh,
so
okay.
You can call her and ask her questions, and she knows everything. And
she has all the
can make
answers.
everything appear and stuff. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that
cool
I would
show.
enjoy, man. I think you were telling me that you've also been playing some wrestling games and stuff here lately too, right?
That's true. Yeah, because professional wrestling games peaked on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah?
They really did. Like no wrestling game that's come out past any Nintendo 64 game has ever been as good because Nintendo 64 games like WCW NWO Revenge and WrestleMania 2000, they have a perfect pacing to them and something about their AI that actually makes the matches feel like the way it would be scripted on, Monday Night Raw.
You got the rise and the fall and the comeback.
The comeback, all that stuff. Your special moves really do matter.
Impact the match.
Yeah. It's something where, because we used to play these a lot as kids, me and my cousin Buddy and my cousin Casey and anybody who would stay over with us, we would get stoned and play these games and we would come up with entire pay-per-views and stuff, and we had whole storylines for all of our belts and stuff.
Oh, that's badass.
It's so fun.
I wish I had that free time. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds so fun.
I mean, I can't do that now, but I can do it slowly, which is what I've been doing, where basically, I went in and made some of the characters we used to have. We would just change all the there's a guy called THQ Man because THQ made WCW NWO Revenge, so we made him THC Man.
I was really hoping that's where that was going.
Yeah, we changed Brian Adams' name to Chronic and made him the tag team partner of THC Man.
THC Man and
Chronic.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was just there's a lot more imagination to it because it doesn't you can create pay-per-views in WrestleMania 2000, but your storylines are stuff you're just inventing, you're keeping it all in your head and stuff. I had a lot of fun with that, so I've been trying to remake it. I've made some cool classic wrestlers like Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage, Booker T and stuff. But it's been really fun. I've been having a lot of fun with it.
I mean, I know you say that was kind of the pinnacle of wrestling games, but have you ever heard of a little number called Pro Wrestling for NES?
A winner is you.
You lose. What a pity. Dude, that game was
it was awesome
the best when I was a kid, man.
For real.
Who was your jam? Who'd you play as?
What was the dude who he was like Blanca, basically.
The Amazon. The Amazon was my dude.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Totally my guy.
Starman, I always wanted to like.
That's who my brother always played as, was Starman.
Because he looked cool, but I didn't like his moves.
He had that backflip kick. That was cool.
Yeah.
But dude, the Amazon would bite your head and stuff. Yeah. Like, what's cooler than that? And he was green.
That is totally Blanca, right? Like, they just... Yeah. Must have been the same.
I mean,
sort of
Blanca was him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you also had, like, King Corn Karn. What kind of fucking name is that? Who was the blonde guy? It was like something Panther.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was the weird thing. A guy who was blonde was...
Giant Panther. I think it was Giant Panther was his name.
Like, what?
Yeah.
He's just a white blonde dude.
I have no idea. Dude, I played the dog shit out of that game when I was a kid.
Yeah, that was a big one. There was another WWF game on the NES. It was okay.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was all right.
But yeah, it wasn't until there's... I mean, I'm sure there's newer... I haven't played any of the newer games. I'm sure some of those are fun or whatever, but man.
I've decided, dude, like as I've been packing up our like game systems and stuff like that and like going through all my old games and shit and be like, oh my God, I haven't played this in forever. I think after we move, I'm going to like treat myself, get PS4.
That's a good idea. You can stream directly to Twitch from the PS4. If you wanted to start streaming video games for some reason.
And I would.
Yeah.
Really? You can?
Yeah.
Something to think about. Okay. Yeah. All right. But yeah, I'm thinking that I'll just do that, man. I was going through all my games and stuff and I was like, fuck, like I have like some of the old Uncharted games.
Oh yeah,
they're so badass.
I haven't ever played them. I've just watched them. Yeah, because I've never had a PlayStation. And
really?
they're PlayStation exclusive. Yeah, I had a roommate who had a PlayStation 2 and I played it all the time.
Yeah,
and it's a great system.
Yeah.
I actually had PlayStation 2. I would like to have a PlayStation 2 right now because I've been wanting to play the Kingdom Hearts games, and I guess I could do that with PlayStation 3, but PlayStation 2 would be cheaper. Yeah. Man. Let's all go buy PlayStations. This episode brought to you by
Sony. Good stuff, man. Well, you know, Steve, the subject of today's podcast is none other than Creepshow from a 1982 when I was negative 2 years old.
I was some months old.
You were. And of course, one of the highlights of this flick was our main man, Tom Atkins.
He's a major highlight, right?
Huge part of the movie. But you know, Steve, I noticed when I started watching this flick, there was something about his face rig that was just kind of off.
What, maybe a different haircut or something?
I mean, he was definitely wearing a really shitty wig, but that was not the issue.
Did he take his glasses off?
No, I don't think it was that even. There's something like lower on the face, like something above the lip.
Above the lip.
But below the nose. That just seems strange.
His mustaches.
Oh, he didn't have a mustache.
Oh, my.
And I was like, who's this man before me what doesn't have mustache?
More like Tom Mustashkins.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more like that. You ever notice how there's some people out there that you've known them with a mustache your whole life, and then they delete that off their face, and you're like, who are you, impostore?
Yeah.
An impostore!
Impostore!
Man alive. Like, my dad has had a mustache his entire life as far as I know.
Huh.
And I don't think I've ever seen any, like, pictures of him without one. I think as soon as he could have one, he was just like, I'll have one. But, you know, there's so many people that we've seen on the screen our whole lives featuring just that wonderful upper lip accessory.
Yeah.
And then once it's gone, I just feel like I don't even know them anymore. And that's how I felt whenever I saw Tom Atkins here in the framing device storyline of Creepshow.
Who are you?
Who am I?
Get off my screen! I didn't invite you here.
So I say before we get on to the movie review portion of this horror classic, how about we just slip on into the Preview Palace?
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
And let's talk about some of our favorite people who are just unrecognizable without a fucking mustache on their face.
Yeah.
What's the deal with people out there that when they have a mustache, you recognize them when they don't? They're like a new person.
When you told me this idea, I was immediately on board because, yes, like you see people with a mustache all the time, and when they shave it, it really is like the most mind-blowing thing.
Yeah, it's like your brain registers it as like this is not the same person. You can
Kids
see somebody
cry. Like,
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like that's not my dad.
Yeah, it's a whole different person.
People can change their haircut or like change their hair color, and it's nowhere near as
Not
big of
as
an
shocking.
impact.
Yeah.
Like people can change their eye color with contact lenses.
Sure.
Nowhere near as shocking as like where'd your mustache go?
Because I think we all kind of focus right here.
It's that center
People
face
don't
area.
stare straight into other people's eyes, and you don't want to be like looking down too far. So you're just kind of looking mid-face. That's the thing you're seeing.
It's a crucial area.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of these characters who I'm thinking of that we just have to have them have that mustache. It's like whenever they don't have it, it looks like their area from like the top of their mouth opening to the bottom of their nose just seems like it's like 4 inches of blank space.
I wonder if it's only true of people who have large upper lip areas. Like
if they're just like, I need a mustache to cover this up.
Like, for instance, Chris Hemsworth without the mustache.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't really change.
Yeah, Brad Pitt. Like Brad Pitt had a mustache in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
Didn't really change him.
Didn't change much.
Yeah, still looks like Brad Pitt.
But when you're talking about Nick Offerman.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you like see Ron Swanson without a mustache. It's like, what the fuck?
Easily shave it and just escape into anonymity in a crowd. It's crazy.
He's in Sin City. He plays one of the thugs in Sin City, and it's so weird to see him.
Wait, what the fuck? He's in Sin City?
Yeah.
Nick Offerman.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the first one.
He's got a weird like punk haircut and stuff.
No way. I had somehow completely forgotten about that or just never known it.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Well, because he looks so different without the mustache.
Yeah, he does.
It's just crazy. He's a different looking person.
Wow, man. Huh, that's interesting.
Who's somebody who blows your mind without a stash, Ben?
Let's just go ahead and knock out some of the obvious ones. If you see a Tom Selleck without a mustache...
Yeah, I mean, he's made his career off of that mustache.
That's a handsome fucking stash on that fella right there. That's just a handsome man.
He's a good looking dude, yeah.
Tom Selleck, total hunk. There's some episodes where he's on Friends. You know, him and Monica had that on again, off again relationship.
Yeah.
And he shaved that stash. I think he was doing some role for some other movie, I guess. And he had to shave his mustache. And he was on the Friends episodes without a stash. And it's just like,
that's
you
so
are
weird looking.
Nowhere near as appealing.
Who is that?
Yeah. I don't know what the deal, man. It's like he just is not as appealing without it.
He's not. No, nor is Burt Reynolds.
That Burt Reynolds without a stash is not Burt Reynolds. No, that's fake.
He's still a handsome man without the mustache, but that mustache really made him. Like, it made his face come together.
I know. What's the deal with that, man? Like,
What's
so
the
many,
deal?
so many people like these days I see kind of rocking the like ironic stash again.
Yeah.
And they just look dirty and gross.
It looks ironic. Yeah, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, you're not serious about that.
Yeah, you're doing that because it looks terrible and that's kind of funny, I guess. But some of these cats, like you see them and it's just like, wow, the mustache really just makes you look like a damn man.
You needed that.
Dude. Like some people
it's like a badge on your upper lip.
A badge of the upper lip. Yeah, it's your man badge.
The science teacher in Stranger Things.
Yes.
He's got a wonderful 80s mustache that gives him authority. Like if somebody with a mustache,
I'm an adult mustache.
Yeah, like the person who needs a mustache has a mustache. You're immediately kind of like, damn, all right. What should we do?
I'll sit down.
You're probably in charge here, right?
Yeah. Dude, some people have seen pictures of me in my late teenage years with my mustache goatee combo I rocked back then, and it just looks horrific.
You look older.
I look older than I do now.
Yeah, you look older than you do now.
I don't know how anybody hung out with me or didn't try to like host an intervention and be like, really, you need to take care of this.
Just get rid of it.
I'm thinking, like, I'm really hoping that it didn't look as bad in person as it did in photos. I'm thinking like that.
Oh, we all looked bad in the late 90s, early 2000s. Every picture I've seen, and you know what it is though, like you see yourself and you think I look bad, but then when you start looking around and going like, everybody
kind of did. Yeah, because we were all using like half megapixel cameras with harsh flashes that were developed at Walmart.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like I'm thinking that whenever I look back at those old photos of my mustache and it looked like this invader on my face, I'm thinking it's just like, well, it's because you were under nasty fluorescent lighting and this flash was making it look all greasy and shiny, and just because I think that nobody would have hung around me if it looked in person as bad as it did in photos. Right?
I don't want to hang out.
I mean, you were there.
Anymore.
Did
You've
it look
seen
that
stash?
Did it look that bad?
No, it didn't.
Or did it just look like, oh, here's a guy in his like 40s that decided to go to community college. Oh, he's like 19. Okay, all right then. You know?
Yeah, it didn't look bad at all. Honestly, it's just the pictures.
Yeah, I hope not.
What about classic Sam Elliott?
Oh, dude, Sam Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
That's a guy that just has to have that stash.
He owns that stash.
He's got like 5 inches of upper lip. You know?
Yeah.
So he's got that opportunity to grow that just big, tall, thick motherfucker.
You think his voice filters through the stash and makes it even more cowboy?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. But you know what? That's a guy still though, even without a stash. Still pretty hunky.
Yeah, he's still going.
I think in Roadhouse he didn't have a stash,
he didn't
right?
In Roadhouse,
and he's unrecognizable.
Yeah,
like you don't see him as
that's Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott at all, but he does look real hunky.
Yeah,
that beer is very good.
Yeah, it's real fun.
Like every sip I have, I'm
really
just like,
enjoying
that's
it.
Really, really nice, man. Just the right balance of tartness and sweetness.
Let me tell you somebody who looks unrecognizable and kind of like a male model when he gets his facial hair taken off. Zach Galifianakis.
Okay. It's wild.
Yeah.
It's wild how much different that cat looks without a mustache.
I like, and especially since he's lost the weight, he looks like Brad Pitt almost. Like he's got like a real handsome face.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like the mustache that he rocks all the time gives him that like kind of crappy school teacher sort of look.
Yeah, and it's good for comedy for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people don't like super handsome people also being funny.
Choose one.
Yeah, you don't get to do both.
Too much good stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of Southern boys with stashes that are funny, Danny McBride.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
That guy looks way different with that one.
I've only watched the first episode of The Righteous Gemstones, and for some reason I'm thinking he doesn't have it.
Dude, Josh told me that show is hilarious as fuck.
Yes.
They're like televangelists or something, right?
Yes.
Holy shit.
It's so good, man. It's
awesome.
really good. And a fucking John Goodman. Like
John Goodman's in
John
it.
Goodman's
America's Dad, John Goodman?
Seriously, the day John Goodman dies will be the saddest day, perhaps. Because he has been around. Like, I remember watching Raising Arizona as a little kid and just being like, that guy's so funny.
Yeah,
and then
dude.
Roseanne, Arachnophobia, like, then fucking Big Lebowski. Then he starts like, you know, Big Lebowski and all these other things.
A Brother Art Thou.
Yeah, he's so fucking funny.
Oh man, yeah, it will indeed be a sad day. I've got to like brace myself for the notion that one day I'll live in a world that doesn't have John Goodman.
That
in
will
it.
be sad.
I thought the same thing about like I'm gonna live in a world without Van Halen in it, stuff like that too. You know,
yeah,
that'd be rough. But then all I've got to do to like steady myself is think about how fucking fortunate we are. Think about of all the billions of human lives that have existed on this planet that had the horrible misfortune of not being lucky enough to be born during the time that Van Halen was on the planet.
That is unfortunate.
How many billions of people, and yet here we are alive at the same time to enjoy EVH.
Man.
It's pretty fucking lucky.
Think about those poor bastards back in the Middle Ages. They didn't even conceive of what rock and roll might sound like.
I do say, my good fellow, I'm trying to conceptualize an electrified lute that might be louder and able to produce.
Burn him!
I'm dead!
He said words! That's too much!
Electricity comes from the sky. It is God's force.
No! Burned!
So yeah, we're pretty lucky, guys.
Yeah.
We're pretty lucky at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Who else we got over on this on the shit list of Mustachio Man?
Well, Ben... Tom Savini.
Tom Savini, the Wizard of Gore, making an appearance in this movie.
It's hard to find a picture of him without a mustache. But there is a picture of him when he was in Vietnam. Of course, no mustache. And you can tell it's Savini.
Yeah.
But, man, it's an iconic mustache. Like, he's had it forever.
Yeah, it's a part of his fucking face. He grows a great stash.
Same forever.
Yeah.
I posted reposted the Instagram post he did for his birthday last year, which was him with his shirt off.
I know.
And he looks
like a hunk.
A fucking mid-40s man who's in his 60s. Like,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about like the addition of like facial hair that can sometimes mask your age dramatically.
That's true.
Especially if you've always had it.
Yep.
You kind of have this ability to like stop aging.
When I don't have my beard, I feel like a baby face.
Dude, I've not seen you without a beard in...
Yeah, and I would
10
prefer
years
to
or
have
something?
never not had a beard. It's just that my beard hair is like very coarse.
Yeah?
And I didn't realize there were beard conditioners. And so I have in the past made my girlfriends break out from making out with them because my beard hair just starts like scratching at their skin.
Getting up in there.
Yeah, but with a good beard conditioner, it's nice and soft.
You got yourself that 40 grit beard.
Yeah.
But now you've dulled it down to a smoothing 400 grit.
Yeah, now it's a finishing grit.
Yeah, it's a finishing beard. Good deal, man. You know, there's a couple other people, too, I would like to point out that are in the non-movie spectrum that look insanely weird and different without their facial prosthetics. What do you know about a Zakk Wylde?
I know he plays some guitar.
That guy likes himself a pinch harmonic. He likes himself shredding with a Black Label Society and an Ozzy Osbourne. And right when he joined Ozzy's band, when he was just a young man, he had a clean-shaven face, some long, pretty blonde hair, and he looked so different than the grizzled lumberjack man we know him as now.
You showed me a picture of him before, and it was like, what? Like, yeah, he's like a pretty boy.
Yeah. Here's some fun trivia for you. Of course, I know when you probably think of Zakk Wylde, you think about him playing his iconic Bullseye Les Paul, right? With the white and black bullseye on the guitar.
Yeah.
He started doing that because he imagined as the guy that was trying to, follow up playing after Randy Rhoads and Jakey Lee. He's like, I might as well just go ahead and put a bullseye on my guitar.
Right.
Because people are going to automatically fucking hate me.
Uh-huh.
Because on SLT, Randy Rhoads played a white Les Paul sometimes too. So he's like, let's put a bullseye on mine.
Good choice.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Turned out working out pretty goddamn well for him.
Ben, we didn't even think about this one. And I think this might be photoshopped picture, but Hulk Hogan without a mustache.
Does this exist? Oh my god. What in the fuck?
He just looks like some doofus.
Weird.
Yeah.
He looks like Kronk from Emperor's New Groove.
He does.
Like with a skullet. What the fuck? I've never seen him without a mustache. That is bizarre.
That might be photoshopped. Because I'm not sure that he has ever been without a mustache.
Ugh.
I think he may have been born with that, like,
pretty sure
goatee type mustache.
Yeah.
When he came out, he was like, "Thanks a lot, brother, pulling me out of there."
What? Ooh, it's cold out here.
Somebody give me some oil for my muscles.
Yeah, grease this thing up real quick. Oh my god, that was bizarre. Yeah, there's just something about the magical mustache that makes us love guys like Tom Atkins, Tom Savini.
Yeah. People
Tom
named Tom.
Selleck, lots of Toms,
Anyone
I guess.
named Tom should probably grow a mustache.
Just go ahead and have one, I'm pretty sure. I want to see one day a clean-shaven Santa Claus. Is that strange? What would that be like?
Oh, man.
Just smooth and shiny.
Just a big red-cheeked, no hair. Huh.
I think that would be really, really unsettling.
That would make children cry, for sure.
I think that it would.
Why is Santa so red-faced?
He's drunk, Mom. He's drunk again.
Let's run away.
Oh, God, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Steve. Let's dig in to the meat of this podcast, and let's start talking ourselves about a Creepshow from 1982, but not before we crack open another cold beer here.
Crack open a cold beer.
I got to wet this whistle up. I'm going to be doing some talking about this movie picture here, and my whistle is a little bit on the dry side, so I need something to shine this thing up a little bit. What did we just rip open there, Steve?
We got a Maine Beer Company. We did Maine Beer Company a couple weeks ago with
their Lunch IPA,
which
is phenomenal.
So good. This is called Mo. It's a pale ale. And
yes.
It tells us on here to do what's right.
Okay. Does it have another little story on the back of that thing? The other one had that story about like a whale or something like that.
Just after opening our brewery, working long nights, weekends, and still maintaining our day jobs, my brother Daniel, the brewer, had twins.
This beer had a brother?
Apparently.
Brother beer. And his brother beer.
Brother beer.
We're writing our own songs now.
Yeah. And apparently that brother beer had twins. So, little baby kid beer, little baby kid beer. Cheers to his courage and dedication to making better beer.
Better beer face.
Better beer
That should be the new thing. Replace bitter beer face with better beer face. Now, this one I had a couple weeks ago. I think I actually might have drank this while we were watching that god-awful Jupiter Ascending movie, if I'm not mistaken. And it's good. Okay. It's good. It's not as good as that lunch. That lunch to me is a truly phenomenal...
It's a perfect IPA.
Yeah, it's pretty much like best of its species kind of beers. Totally amazing. This, I mean, honestly, like, this is amazing and it's fantastic. I think it's just because, like, my expectations were so high because of how great that lunch is.
Yeah.
Which, P.S., if we have any listeners in
Maine?
Freeport, Maine... I just learned that Maine Beer Company does a dinner IPA that they only sell at the brewery that we don't get down here. And the people at like Merchants of Beer and stuff in Knoxville told me that it's apparently unbelievable. Just absolutely insane. I think it's like a double IPA or something like that.
So any of our Mainers, hey.
Yeah, please send us some. Drop us a message. We'll give you an address to ship some stuff to, because I would love to have it, because I've been very, very impressed by the Maine Beer Company. See what you think about that right there.
I'm interested.
Whenever I had it, which again, it's probably been a month or so ago, it had Lagunitas-like characteristics to it.
It kind of smells like a Lagunitas beer.
Yeah. And it's not as like amazingly clearly flavored as a lunch, but it's still very good, right?
It's a little more sweet. It's real good, but yeah, it's not as distinct as
it's a hoppy
lunch.
pale ale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes like if you had this flavor plus like a third more of how much flavor that has, it'd be really onto something. Mm-hmm. As it is, it's the kind of thing where...
It's a light flavor, for sure.
Yeah, it is. Like, the flavor is kind of gone, like, 2 seconds after you swallow.
Yep.
You know? Which also means, though, I bet this would be great with food. Like, if you had this with, like, a steak or something, it would probably be fucking amazing.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can imagine it being really good with seafood and stuff, too. Nice and light like that.
Now it's making me want seafood.
Yeah.
Whew.
It'd be all right.
That'd be all right, yeah. Little... low country boil.
I love a bowl. I love me a low country bowl.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of that, man. Get them little potatoes in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Count me in.
This is all making me want to go to Charleston.
And do the Charleston?
While eating a Charleston chew.
Oh, I hate Charleston chews.
You do? I love them, man.
Dude, they're in that league of candy that I'm just like fucking weird old people candy. Like
the league of old people candy.
It is I, Bitto Honey.
It is me. Random hard candy in a bowl.
And no one would ever suspect Mary Jane's. Take all those candies, put them on an island, blow it up, please. Please.
The island of misfit candies.
Oh, the island of misfit candies.
It's me, Bitto Honey.
Circus peanuts. The most nauseating.
They're like foam.
Why do they still make them? Surely anybody that ever thought those were good is dead of old age by now. Surely they are.
Surely. Like, you know, I guess the traditional, like, hack old person candy is Werther's original. Werther's are actually
They're good though. That's the thing. Yeah, I enjoy a Werther's just fine.
Yeah. But I mean... they probably disappeared by the 90s, but I remember very distinctly both my granny in Georgia and my great-grandmother, who we just called Grandma, both had bowls of hard candy sitting on their living room table. And all stuck together with dust on them and shit.
Yeah,
and it's
like a ribbon candy and stuff.
No one ever wanted those. You've had those out since the 70s, I'm sure. Yeah. No one has ever wanted that candy. Yeah.
Just completely awful.
Anyway, Creepshow.
So here's the deal, Steve. Confession time.
Confess.
This is the first time I've watched the whole movie.
Really?
I know. A horror anthology milestone.
Have you just kind of like come into it?
I've seen a segment or two before, like in clips on YouTube and shit.
Oh, okay.
But never watched the entire thing, which is really strange. Like one of my first exposures to Creepshow is, there's this guy named Ron Jarzenbach.
Okay.
He is a guitar player that plays for a band called Blotted Science, and he's done a lot of other musical projects and stuff too. He is like the damn Albert Einstein of guitar playing. Like everything he does is this ultra high level, extremely complicated, conceptual, crazy shit. Like he has a lot of songs
it's the
that
notes he's not playing.
It's like kind of like that. It's more like it's because he's using all the notes in really crazy ways. He's done all these crazy experiments with like tone row music, which is this weird series of tonal organization, and just things to demonstrate certain musical theoretical concepts and stuff. Right? He did a thing a couple years ago, probably 10 years or so ago now, and I think you can find some of them on YouTube, where he wrote songs to directly correspond with visuals from some of his like favorite scenes in movies.
Okay.
And it's really crazy stuff where he'll choose like certain licks to represent certain characters that are on screen, and the rhythms and stuff of the music are crazy complicated and complex because they're not synced to a metronome. They're synced to stuff that's happening on screen. So, like during an action sequence, whenever like there's an explosion, regardless of where it is in the rhythm, like a cymbal hit will occur.
Okay.
So it's kind of like this weird blend of soundtrack, sound effects, and musical representation of what's happening visually on screen.
Okay.
It's very complicated. Extremely fucking complicated.
Sounds that way.
Yeah. And he did one for, there's like a really gross scene in the Peter Jackson King Kong where they're fighting these like big bug things.
Okay.
He did one that corresponded to that. And he did one that corresponded to, what's the name of the last segment? The Creeping Up on You.
Oh, okay. The cockroaches.
The cockroach scene, yeah. And he did this, it's basically the entire length of all the cockroach scenes in this, so it's several minutes long, that all musically corresponds to shit that's happening on screen. It's nuts, dude. If I can find a link, I'll post it on the Facebook page and stuff. It's crazy. So I think that was probably my first exposure to it, and then I watched that one, and just bits and pieces of other ones. But this is the first time I've ever watched the whole fucking thing.
Okay.
What a homeschooler, am I right?
Right.
I assume this wasn't the first time you saw it.
No, I grew up with this movie. This one's their old fears reside in this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
is this like one of those ones that freaked you out as a kid and shit?
And it's not anything you would think. It's the funniest part of the movie.
Really?
The Stephen King bits.
Interesting. Okay, I look forward to getting into that.
The idea of something growing out of my skin is the most disgusting thing.
It's like always repelled you. Like,
yep.
Wow.
Yep. So like whenever you hear of somebody getting like bitten by a blowfly and they inject their larva or whatever, and then they got a blowfly under their skin.
Botfly. Yeah.
Oh
Awful.
my gosh.
Hard pass.
Dude, that makes me want to die.
Yeah.
Just
like, well, just kill me, I guess.
Yeah, no, might as well.
I can understand that.
Because then the rest of my life, I'm forever unclean. Like, just be like, this is the body that had that thing in it.
And of course, this movie is a meeting of two of the greatest horror minds of all time, George Romero and Stephen King.
Yep.
And dude, I so wish we could have just gotten so many more movies from those two teaming up. Holy shit.
They had been friends for a while and had been wanting to do something.
Each other's work,
Yeah. Romero had Stephen King as like a cameo in Knight Riders.
That's a very strange movie, by the way.
Yeah.
Ed Harris also in that.
Yeah, so I would imagine they were already in some sort of pre-production for Creepshow at that point.
Knight Riders is silly. You've not seen it, have you?
I haven't seen it.
It is just a silly, weird movie where you're just like, I guess they were doing cocaine.
It had good, like, Rotten Tomatoes score, so...
Yeah, it has, like, a legion of, like, cult followers and stuff, but it's just, like, weird and silly stuff with, like, guys in knight costumes jousting on motorcycles. As like roving like Mad Max style gangs.
Cool.
It's so weird and silly. It's just like, who thought this was a great idea?
George Romero.
Yeah. I mean, that being said, it is awesome.
Yeah, I bet.
I recommend watching it.
So yeah, they knew each other and had finally gotten down to working together. And basically Stephen King wanted to mimic old EC comics, like Tales from the Crypt.
EC Comics. EC Comics. You fucked up. You fucked up.
You sold out.
Those are things that
Holy shit.
Yeah. I always remember hearing like people that are older than me talking about these old horror comics like EC and stuff like that. I never have read any of them.
For both of us.
They even talk about them in like It and stuff too.
By the time we were buying comics, there weren't a whole lot of horror comics readily available. It was mostly, the big Marvel titles and DC titles, and then
that's too when
along.
The comics code had been enacted by then, so there were certain things that could and couldn't do and shit.
Yeah. By that point, Tales from the Crypt, the movie, was an anthology, came out in the mid-70s. Basically, they were going for that. Like, good anthology movie based off of these, like, short, quick, comic book style stories.
Pulpy, grimy.
Like, can be ridiculous, etc. And so, Stephen King wrote some stories. They had some options to go with because he was using some of his own already written short stories, but they settled on what they settled on, which I think is good. I enjoy this movie. I think all the different stories stand on their own pretty well.
I think so too. Now, I can't remember, did Stephen King write the screenplay? Did he like write all the stories?
Yeah, he wrote the screenplay.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so this was his first like full screenplay, and it is really good. Comparing it to, I guess his next screenplay would have been Maximum Overdrive. Like, I guess the cocaine got better.
Yeah.
Like, maybe he was
Blow got better.
Yeah, he was like, wait a second. Cocaine can make you feel like this? I don't want to write shit. I want trucks that kill people.
Yeah, I don't know what the change was there, but something was definitely in the water, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But something that's cool that they did with this movie too, I think, to make this segment seem a little bit more unique and maybe not feeling like they were all done by the same people.
Yeah.
Romero had different people edit all the segments.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can kind of tell that now that you say it.
Pretty cool. Yeah, you totally can.
Yeah,
because like the way that Something to Tide You Over feels versus Father's Day is way different, which is cool. It kind of makes it feel like there were more people involved in this than what you'd think,
That's really cool. And let's not forget the third part of the team of this Titans of Horror. Tom Savini.
Tom motherfucking Savini.
The effects for this.
I mean, dude, that is a holy trinity of writer, director, special effects artists of 80s horror.
Really?
Holy shit, man. It doesn't really get a lot better than that.
There's not much better. I can't imagine.
And the visual effects in this, obviously, are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And there's so much cool trivia and stuff out there about how they did a lot of those effects, and we'll talk about them as we kind of walk through the individual stories and stuff.
I got some cool stuff on the Ted Danson drowning.
Oh, nice.
Effect,
Look forward to hearing about that. Yeah, but it's just one of those like pinnacles of great early 80s special effects. And it's kind of like what we talked about, because it's not CGI, they can't show everything.
Yeah.
But that makes them get creative, man.
Exactly.
We've talked about that many times on the show. It's like when you can't just show the full Monty, you have to get creative and show other ways.
And people's imaginations are better than any CGI.
It's always going to be scarier.
Fill in the blanks, and it's scarier. Yeah.
Absolutely so, man.
I was trying to look for stuff to talk about. We've talked about George Romero. Go back, listen to our Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead episodes. We'll do Day of the Dead eventually. Martin, The Crazies, all that stuff. We've already talked about him a bit. And we've done so much Stephen King.
Yeah.
We've talked about him endlessly.
And Savini, too.
And we've done so much Savini. So there wasn't a ton to say necessarily about them. And the production, of course, came together pretty easily because it's George Romero and Stephen King. So there weren't a lot of roadblocks along the way.
Yeah, by that time they were both pretty well established in their fields, right? And they filmed this in Romero's town of Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, Romero always tried to film in Pittsburgh because that was his town. Basically wanted to get back to the city. That's cool.
Yeah.
I was really searching for some interesting trivia to add to this. This is the only Romero screenplay not written by George Romero.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
He wrote all of his screenplays, or at least co-wrote them. This is interesting. Warner Brothers released this movie for a 4-week trial at various Boston theaters in July of 1982.
In July?
And then when it did really good, they were then like, oh, okay, well, we'll put it in all theaters later in May or in November of 82.
Huh. Okay.
So basically they were like, I don't know about this. Does anybody care about this bullshit? Oh, they do? Sweet.
Sell it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the movie ended up making money and stuff. But it looks like they were maybe a little worried that people wouldn't get it. And I can see that. There's some experimental bits about this that maybe could have thrown people off.
Probably.
The comic elements, I think especially, because at that time in 82... comic books were only associated with kids.
Yeah, kids stuff,
and
exactly.
Geeky shit.
Yeah.
So maybe they were a little worried it wouldn't work, but it did end up making a good bit of money. So
that was one of the things, honestly, about this movie that did surprise me the most. Again, considering this is the first real time I watched it, is how comic booky it is.
Yeah,
and I mean that's not only talking about some of the fully animated stuff, but the way that at the end of some of the stories, it will dissolve from whatever the final scene in that story was
into a comic book panel.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, that's a good comic book panel. I see why you designed that shot that way.
With the dialogue of what the characters just said. At the end of Something to Tide You Over, it's Leslie Nielsen. It's like, I can hold my breath a long time as a comic panel.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that whenever I watched it, I was like, oh... That's where Trick or Treat, the one from the 2000s, it's like this got everything from Creepshow.
Yeah.
Because Trick or Treat tries to play it off like, oh, this is a comic book that's been developed into a movie.
With you see
comic
Sam
pages
on front
and
of the
shit.
comic book. Yeah.
Yeah, and in the closing credits too, I think.
Yeah.
And I look at that now, and I thought that was so cool then, and I'm like, oh, Creepshow did this.
Did it.
Yeah, it's that thing where it's like they say, it's like there's nothing new under the sun.
No,
I
mean. Trick or Treat's still
Trick or
awesome.
Treat still fucking kicks ass, dude. I like it's September right now. I'm already looking forward to watching it in the middle of Halloween season again.
Just the fact that you mentioned it made me be like, oh right, I want to watch that.
Totally.
It's almost Halloween.
It's almost Halloween. It's time to watch it again, man. So whenever this movie kicks off, like most horror anthology type flicks, there's kind of a framing narrative, a wraparound story, which features a mustacheless Tom Atkins wearing this god awful wig.
Yeah.
Looking like Giant Panther.
And little baby Joe King / Joe Hill.
Yeah, I didn't know that when I watched this the first time. And then I went back and rewatched the scenes with them, and I'm like, oh my god, it's a little tiny Stephen King.
Yeah, so Stephen King's son plays the little boy. He is now an established author himself, Joe Hill.
Have you ever read any of his books?
I have not.
I've heard that some of them are pretty awesome.
I bet they are.
Yeah, check that out.
I can imagine.
His dad's all fussing at him about
His dad is fussing at him for reading comic books.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that's sort of establishes how comic books are kind of looked at in the 80s. Like, they're just trash. Like, it's useless stuff that kids waste their time with.
And he calls him out. He's like, well, you got those sex books in your drawers or whatever, in your dresser drawer.
Now, what I think is interesting about this is that Stephen King actually tried to maintain something of a theme throughout the anthology, which you don't see a lot. Specifically because anthologies are usually each segment's written by different writers and
exploring different topics and so on.
But in this case, there's a theme of male authority figures being wrong.
I didn't think about that while I was watching it, but after you pointed it out, I was like, yeah, that's kind of all of them, really.
Yeah, so in the first one, it's obviously Father's Day. Obviously. There's that. In the second one, we have Jordy Verrill. Jordy Verrill's dad appears to him in the mirror and is giving him advice. In the third one, which is the
Tide You Over.
Yeah, the Leslie Nielsen is the male authority figure. There's no reason why Ted Danson keeps doing what he tells him to do.
Right.
But he's doing it anyway. That's weird. Then, in the crates.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's a lot to say about that one.
There's a lot to say about that one, but there's definitely some issues of men and
making bad
with their
moves.
Wives making bad moves. Yeah.
And then in the fifth one there,
creeping up on you, he is this complete autocratic authority figure who gets taken down by the thing that he's most afraid of, which is the minuscule, the tiniest, the way people, the word people use to dismiss entire sets of humanity by calling them cockroaches.
Right.
Like, those are the
eats
things
him alive,
that eat him
literally.
alive. Yeah. And then, of course, we get the end of the wraparound, which is the voodoo doll and Joe Hill killing his dad, which is great.
Which is awesome.
But that's what it's kind of about, is about confronting this male authority figure and dealing with this abusive, autocratic asshole.
I didn't think about it when I watched it, but you're totally right.
Yeah. He had an idea, a central idea that I think a lot of anthologies might be better served by working off of, trying to say like, okay, well, let's explore this theme in all these different ways.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, which, I mean, you could also come around the other way and be like, oh, it's just kind of the same thing several times over.
Right.
I guess, but...
It is, kind of.
To me, they all feel pretty different.
Yeah,
so.
they have very different... I mean, like, you can't... No one could see a meteor that causes plants to grow out of a human skin as being exactly like a man burying a guy in the sand and drowning him in the ocean. Like,
no.
There's enough variation for sure.
Yeah, I think so too, man. Now, during the intro of this, like you said, we got Atkins getting all pissed at his kid.
Yeah.
And dude, that whole like household situation, the mom is just
bad.
So like beaten down and stuff, and he's like... What is that line that he says? He's like, that's why God made fathers.
That's why God made fathers.
Awful.
And like, that is in some ways like that was a parenting perspective in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Just, I'm the man, I tell you all what to do, and you do it.
I'm the paterfamilias.
Yeah. I'm the goddamn paterfamilias.
They said you got hit by a train.
I didn't get hit by no train.
I'm bona fide.
He's a suitor.
Oh, dude. God, I love Oh Brother Where Art Thou so much. It's so good. And then the thing is after we have him getting all pissed and doing that holier than thou, that's why God made fathers shit.
While drinking his gross ass light beer.
Yeah, into a glass. Very classy. The kid is like, I hope you rot in hell. Like the kid is aggro as fuck, man. So
he probably got those violent images from the comic books.
I think you're right, because that's when the creep arrives at the window.
And then turns animated.
Yeah, like it shows like 2 seconds of this awesome, I don't know, puppet?
Yeah.
I guess you'd say?
Yeah.
And then it's like animated right away. But the puppet looks so cool.
The
like
puppet did look cool.
It looks the best way of like shitty but spooky 80s possible, you know?
Yeah, but the animation's cool.
I think it's awesome. Yeah. It's very well, I think anytime we think about late 70s, early 80s animation, you always go, well, it's kind of like heavy metal.
Yeah.
Because it kind of is.
Yeah.
But the way that it kind of draws it into looking like a comic book is really cool. And again, I wasn't really anticipating that. And that leads us into our first segment here, which is Father's Day. Now, this kind of opens up with a bunch of people in a parlor having some kind of like a fancy pre-dinner.
They're having a rich person conversation.
Yeah. That's kind of what it is.
There's a woman who I guess has never stopped smoking cigarettes. Like ever.
She got that smoker tone.
Oh my God. Normally people don't sound like that. But this woman sounds like fucking she's gargling gravel or something.
Well, you know, I was about to say, and hopefully people will never know that again since so few people smoke now, but now we're getting back on the right track, getting rid of them damn vape cigarettes. Get them out.
6 people done died, and we won't stand for that unless they's killed with guns.
I want immediate action unless it's guns.
But you know what? People don't actually want that. No one is saying that. You know who does want that? The tobacco industry.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we've not gotten a piece of these politicians and paid them off in long enough.
It's weird how fast politicians act when no one wants it except for super rich people.
Right. Yeah. Wow. I wonder if there's some sort of a correlation.
I don't know. Maybe there's... Maybe they give them high fives.
It's the high five.
Yeah.
Hugs.
I'll give you a hug.
I bet there's a lot of hugs going on.
Do you think Trump's ever hugged a person and it's not been gross?
No.
I bet it's been sluggish and slimy and
just awful.
Just awful. He's probably whispering weird shit into their ear too.
Hard pass.
I want to have sex with your daughter.
I want to have sex with my daughter. I mean your daughter.
Daughters.
I mean our daughters. I mean just yours. Hang on.
They're great. Daughters are great.
Especially when they're hot like mine.
Speaking of people who are running for president in 2020, we got reverse Bernie Sanders on Father's Day.
We gotta take the cake back from the 1%.
But he's more
I
like
want my cake.
We're gonna take the cake back from the 99%.
Yeah,
fuck him. He's reverse Bernie Sanders,
dude. He is Sanders as fuck in this. Yeah, this whole story is really crazy. We got these people in this parlor, and then the aunt starts talking about Bedelia.
Yeah, she's telling the story of Bedelia who
fell in love with a guy.
Yeah, she fell in love with a guy.
Dad didn't approve.
The dad didn't approve, and he had him killed in a hunting accident, much like a Dick Cheney sort of thing.
Right. And then she kills him.
Yeah, she kills him,
pounding his head in with an ashtray,
away with it, and comes back every year on the anniversary of that to celebrate,
to meditate on it.
Yeah,
goes out there for an hour and meditates. She says,
"I get it, man. I get." But Bedelia's the only person I get in this segment. Everyone else, I don't know what they're doing. But Bedelia,
no clue.
Like, fuck yeah.
She goes out there and she just drinks herself some Jim Beam by the graveside.
Now this is crazy. Vivica Linfors, who plays Bedelia, that was improvised. Her speech at the tomb.
That's crazy.
Improvised. She based it basically off of her experience with her father.
Oh shit.
Which is interesting because one of the things she calls him is a bootlegger, which we never hear.
I thought that was strange.
Otherwise, so I'm wondering if that was about her father or if it was just something that was in the script and they didn't explore it, or I don't know.
Well, that's the thing when you're dealing with such like short little vignettes of stories. There's so much that's just kind of left for like interpretation, especially in something to tide you over. There's a lot that's just like, I don't know, you figure it out. You figure out what happened here. That's really, really cool, man.
Yeah.
Interesting. That makes sense, too, because apparently Romero, from what I understand, is very big about letting his actors figure shit out. Where it's just
we
like,
talked
I don't know,
about
do
that
something.
a bit on the Dawn of the Dead episode. But he's definitely very open to
very hands-off
creativity,
Yeah, not like a James Cameron or somebody like that. No. Just very hands-on. Wow, that's really cool. And yeah, basically what we end up with here is the people that are in this, kind of tea room, they're waiting on Bedelia to come back because they always celebrate this time of year with a glazed ham dinner.
I
love when the maid comes in and she's like, should I glaze the ham yet? And they're like, no, wait.
Think about it. Even if you were super rich in the early 80s, food still kind of sucked.
Dude, when was the last time anybody our age is like, I'm gonna make a glazed ham?
You know why they don't?
Because
it's not that good.
Because it sucks, man.
It's just not worth it either.
Man, I grew up like every, Christmas Eve and shit like that, going over to my mama's place.
Yeah.
And she would have that great, not great, classic Southern tradition of an Armour brand canned ham, which if you guys are listening to this and are unaware, it's like how much would you say that weighs? Like 4 pounds?
4 pounds, yeah, in a can.
Kind of an egg-shaped can.
Yeah, it got one of those like keys at the top that you roll back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a ham.
And it's a ham in a can. Yeah, basically Spam.
And that's fancy food that you'd have for a special occasion.
Fancy food.
What the fuck kind of lobbyist convinced us that was okay or acceptable? Especially when, like,
dude, always been.
But here's the thing, man.
Bamboozled by everything.
At the same time, here in the South, on like everybody's grandparents' land, there's like a smokehouse and shit.
Yeah.
Where they used to cure and hang hams.
Well, that's when you were saying ham for Christmas and stuff. I started thinking like, well, actually, in my family, the ham for Christmas was actually really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the old-fashioned like canned ham, or it wasn't even like the glazed ham. It was like a nice salt pork.
That's
real
different.
Good.
Yeah,
yes.
like a real hung cured ham. Yeah. That's a different kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow or another, they became convinced that, when it comes in a can, it's fancy. Fucking disgusting, man. So awful, dude.
Yep, I agree.
And while they're waiting on Bedelia to come back, we get treated to some amazing
those dance moves,
dance choreography.
Damn, white people love to clap.
Dude,
fuck, we love to clap. If we're getting the groove, we gotta clap.
Gotta hit your hands together.
Hell yeah.
And dude,
bite
Ed Harris in this as kind of the boyfriend that I guess is kind of new to the family.
Yeah, he's not saying much, which is so weird because you're like, that's Ed Harris. But it's
Harris.
1982 Ed Harris.
Yeah.
So it's like, he's just some guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Ed with hair. It's Ed
it is
Harris, not hairless. as he became known later. Ed Hair has. He was known at this time.
Can't swim, does.
Can't swim, does. That's right. But the crazy thing about it is, like, even though he had hair and even though he was way younger, he still looks old.
He looks old.
He's one of those people that's
He's always looked old. Always.
It's weird, right?
Yeah, it is.
But I'll tell you what, there's a certain advantage. If you're listening to this show and you're like, I'm in my late 20s, already look old.
What? Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, here's some good news. For the next 40 years, you won't look any older.
That's true. How?
Right? Like, there's even a thing like, one of my favorite guitar players, Joe Satriani.
Uh-huh.
On all of his early album covers, he had this puffy, permed up dark hair that you could tell was kind of receding a bit.
Yeah.
And then whenever the Crystal Planet record came out, that's when he started sporting his like chrome dome, totally shaved head, completely 180 from his look for the past decade or so. And that came out in the 90s. And it's like, meanwhile, here we are, nearly 30 years later, he doesn't look like he aged.
Right, yeah.
When you get old early, you kind of quit aging.
You kind of do, yeah. That's true.
Michael Jordan doesn't really look any different.
No, he always looks the same.
He's always looked the same.
Except for that one Hanes commercial where he had that Hitler mustache.
That was
odd.
Unacceptable.
That was very strange.
Yeah.
Some people think I'm being absurd right now. No, it's real. Look it up.
It's very real. Why did that happen?
I don't know.
I'm taking it back.
I'm bringing it back.
I'm reclaiming it for everybody.
No, Michael,
I'm
not.
a hero. I'm going to bring the stash back.
I'll
Charlie
tell you
Chaplin had it. Nobody hated him.
From what I've heard, he is extremely competitive and will gamble on anything. I bet he had a bet with somebody that it had some sort of stipulation that you have to shave your mustache into a Hitler mustache.
I could pull that off. I could pull off a Hitler
And he was
mustache.
like, I'll win. It won't matter. And then he loses.
Kids love me.
Fuck it. Hitler mustache. Speaking of which, this is something I should have mentioned. For the other night, I watched for about 30 or 45 minutes. I was watching YouTube videos about Larry Bird talking trash.
Oh, yeah? Is he a shit talker?
He was amazing shit talker.
Like
so fucking
WWF
good.
Level.
Like amazing. He in one game against the Pistons, Dennis Rodman was coming off of a year where he won Defensive Player of the Year. And Larry Bird was just lighting him up and never looking him in the face. And then he like hit this three and he turned to his coach and he's like, "You're gonna have to get somebody to guard me out here. Where is it?
Oh,
Where
God.
is it?" Just fucking with Dennis Rodman's
salty
head.
as shit.
Yes.
Damn, the Birdman.
The Birdman, yeah.
Did you notice while they were like there in the parlor hanging out, the main woman in there was like talking about having some scones?
Fuck you, bitch.
Scones?
No. Go smoke another cigarette. Scones.
What the fuck is a scone?
Scones. How is that pronounced? If a British person just said scone, you're wrong.
You're wrong. Excuse me, dear. Please do pass me an aluminium scone taco.
I mean, see, technically that's true for them because that's how it's spelled. They have it spelled.
It's not
aluminium.
wrong. It's not, but it does sound silly.
Though they do say herb.
That's just, come on.
Yeah.
Who are you, Martha Stewart?
Because it's got a fucking H in it.
I guess so. That's what they say. Martha Stewart always said herb.
I don't get it.
I don't really understand that. Give me herb.
I mean, she hangs out with Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, she's pretty fucking OG now.
That's true.
Yeah, back in the day, not quite as OG.
Not quite as cool.
Oh, man. Now, this movie, too, this segment of the movie, I mean, has a real, like, late 70s feel
it does.
To me. You know?
That's actually interesting to me is that it does seem to be all over the place. Whereas the last one I would say is like updated modern technology.
Yeah.
It feels like maybe the Jody Verrill one is a little bit older. That one seems maybe a little bit more in the past. This does seem 70s. Like they're dancing to the disco and stuff.
And the clothes.
I mean, in 82, that's still maybe a residual.
Yeah, there's that spillover, that decade spillover that we talked about before, where it's like just because it's in the 80s doesn't mean everything's neon colors.
And disco didn't just die overnight. It still kind of held on for a while.
I just wonder, it's like, did people just used to get up and start dancing at people's houses when there was music playing on a record? Like, not even like a band playing.
I think so. I think before phones, people used to do like a lot of shit.
Yeah? They used to get up and move their bodies?
I don't get it.
Gross.
It's weird.
I mean, that's the thing, though, is that they're just hanging out, waiting around. There happens to be music playing, and you're like, maybe I get up and dance.
Maybe I do.
Like, if somebody did that now, you'd be like, you're a fucking lunatic.
That is true.
Why are you dancing? This is weird. You're making everybody uncomfortable. Please sit down.
Get on your phone, please.
Yeah, please just sit down and pull out your phone and look at that.
Text somebody else while you're talking to us, please. I want to know that you're not invested in this.
Exactly. What are you, caring about this? Gross.
I think maybe what it is that we all treat the world so serious now that we don't want anything serious to happen when we're just hanging out.
Might be that.
Nothing serious. You start dancing and it gets a little too serious. All right? So stop that.
You're a little too committed to trying to have fun here, Barbara. You need to sit the fuck down. It's so crazy. Ed Harris at one point in this goes out looking for Bedelia.
Yeah.
And I love that he finds her bottle of Jim Beam and is like, he kind of gives us a little smirk, like, this will be a nice little treat. Maybe I have myself a sip of that.
Jim Beam for me.
Yeah. And then that's, of course, when zombie Bernie Sanders comes back and gets. Of course, that's after it's been revealed that
tax the poor. He says,
no! Medicare for all,
Medicare for none. He's reversed Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. Oh no. P.S. In the most recent Democratic debate, Bernie sounds real old. Like his voice and stuff has sounded so craggy. He's old as fuck, dude.
I'd still vote for him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the level of compression and stuff they've had on his mic has been cracking me up.
Well, that's the thing that I think. Like I don't. The media is not truthful about Bernie Sanders.
No.
So, did they make his mic sound like that?
I don't know. That's a good point. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah.
Like I got the impression that he sounds like he's got some upper respiratory action happening right now, and they tried to just level everything out with a fuck ton of compression.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong about that, but even like at the end of the debate, whenever they were kind of like, it was like
when they were all like, yeah, Biden totally won that. Biden.
Oh, Biden with his fucking teeth falling out during the debate. Did you see that shit?
No.
Dude, there's a part where
I just don't even care
his fucking
about
teeth
him.
fall out, and he lodges them back into place while speaking.
Yeah.
You're too fucking old, Joe.
Yes,
Sit
you
down.
are.
Listen, have you met anybody that's like Biden, number one?
No.
100%. Fucking nobody. Anyway, so whenever we have that reveal of when Bizarro World Bernie Sanders comes out, the zombie kind of makeup and stuff is sick.
It is.
He's got kind of
like the maggots in the eyes and stuff.
Yeah. It totally looks cool to me. I think some of those maggots are like Rice Krispies, apparently, which is awesome.
There's some real maggots and a lot of Rice Krispies. Yeah.
Whenever Ed Harris though is like lying in that grave, what the fuck is happening?
Ed, move.
Yeah, it almost feels like something weird that like Argento directed, where it's just like people are acting in these non-human weird ways.
That's how aliens act.
Yeah, because Dario Argento, as we know, is an alien, so he doesn't really know how people act. It felt like that. You make the pizza and then you lay in the grave.
And then you let the thing fall on you.
Yeah, like Bedelia's corpse like rolls over on him and he's like pretty unaffected.
That's weird.
And then he's watching as this huge headstone is just kind of like teetering, and then it's teetering.
He's like, oh, that's weird.
What about that? Wonder who's moving that? What's going on there?
I could do a sit-up or... I'll just lay here.
Maybe I'll just die. Yeah, through his head he was going, choice one, do a sit-up. Choice two, die.
Yep. Dying sounds
Guess
cool.
I'll just die.
Yeah,
this is just me now. Fuck it. I've had my fun. I did my dance.
He did do his dance.
Yeah, I'll call it in. I'll call it in. And then later on, we got the other sister and the clearly closeted gay brother.
Yeah. I don't know if they were going for that or that was just the actor. But
I don't know.
It does seem to be
He made some
clear.
choices.
Yeah.
And they go looking around through the house and stuff. They find the dead maid. And then negative Bernie Sanders comes out. I got my cake.
Yeah, which is a severed head with icing on it and candles.
Yeah.
Did he do that?
I don't know. He's very crafty if he did.
That's true.
Especially for having no eyes.
Can you imagine? This is on par with the creeper standing in line to get his vanity license plate. Imagine that zombie making frosting.
He's cutting the tip off the icing bag.
Yep. Lighting the candles. Walking slowly so the candles don't blow out.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good point. He would have had to have done all that. It's a fun story.
Yeah,
I think that it's cool. Like it's all ridiculous. All the flashbacks of him like banging his cane on his chair, being like, I want my cake.
Yeah.
Are so over the top and zany and ridiculous and weird. To me, it's just cool. And then, of course, at the end there, too, we get that reveal of the chick and the brother after they see the dad walking out with the head cake. They got those crazy, like, frames around them.
Yeah.
Well, they're like, it's their reaction of being terrified, but they got this weird cutout thing, stained glass looking thing behind them.
It's so cool.
Apparently, too, they did that all in camera.
Really?
Yeah, like they put these like projector screens with like a transparent film behind them and lit it from the back and stuff. So those effects that look very post are actually happening in camera.
That's really cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. It's just like those extra miles they went into to make this all real.
All of that, like, that's the thing, is that going that extra mile, it pays off.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every fucking time.
And it's so weird that it's all about cutting corners. Like, everybody is about, like, how can we do this the cheapest and easiest, instead of being like, let's just put a little effort in.
Yeah.
Have a better product.
Pretty much, man. Pretty much. Yeah, I like the Father's Day story. I think that it's cool. It's just like a good weird setup.
It is, however, the second best short and horror anthology entitled Father's Day. Because the best has Jocelyn Donahue in Holidays.
Yeah. That's right, man. Yeah, that's definitely the superior Father's Day. Do you want to rate these one by one as we go, or do you want to just give an overall?
Yeah, let's just rate them one by one. I think this one, for me, it's like a 6.5.
That's exactly what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say, too. It's cool. It's got some memorable characters in it, some great special effects.
Yeah.
And then it's done. It's over pretty quick.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. 6.5 out of 10 on this one. And then we get to The Lonesome Death of Jordy Verrill.
Now, this one wasn't my favorite as a kid, but I think as an adult, this is maybe my favorite short in the
It might be mine, too.
Yeah.
It might be mine, too.
I mean, I liked it as a kid, but it really grossed me out. But yeah, now it's just like, Stephen King's really good at it. Like,
that's the thing, man, is like, I think he really understood that he was supposed to be playing a comic book character.
Yeah.
You know, you could look at this and be like, oh, he's like way overacting and saying all these goofy, well, I'll be dipped in pig shit, and like all these really over the top lines. But it's like, that's kind of how comic books read. Mm-hmm. Like whenever we see, the Avengers movies, and it's like, wow, this is really like having Tony Stark on screen. Mm-hmm. It's not really, though.
No, it's more like having a version of Tony Stark written more accurate to action movies. Yeah, exactly. Instead of the comic book.
Yeah, because even a lot of those Marvel comics from these beloved characters and stuff that were coming out in the 60s, 70s, early 80s, a lot of them had this way over the top dialogue that was just silly as fuck, and like the characters would be making these goofy, zany facial expressions and shit, because they were trying to make all the panels larger than life and everything, obviously. Yeah. But the way that Stephen King plays his part feels like a comic book character.
Okay, so George Romero gave him this advice. He told him to play the character like he was Wile E. Coyote right when he realizes he's ran off the cliff.
Oh shit.
So like that's that exact moment. So that, and you kind of can see him doing that face a lot. The just like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Like, face a whole lot. So that's an interesting note he gave him. I really like that they went for that. And you're right, it's very comic booky, over the top, silly.
Very much, yeah.
And then turns dark.
It kind of gets Lovecrafty.
Yeah.
Like this to me really feels like a weird synthesis of like early days comic books mixed with like
some
Lovecraftian weird darkness, you know? Because he finds this meteor that just crash lands in his yard, and he like touches it and it burns his fingers. And then he puts his fingers in his mouth too.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what starts the spread of the meteor shit, basically.
Yeah, that makes plants grow out of everything.
Yeah. Now I love how it's not explained.
It's not explained.
I love that.
And it's like kudzu. That you mentioned. Wait, we didn't do that on the podcast. That was a conversation we had.
Yeah, it just overtakes everything.
It's like kudzu, where it just overtakes everything, and it seems like, oh, this could be a good thing because there's more plants, but it's like, oh, no, it turns everything into plants. Like, it goes even further.
But the weird thing about whatever is happening here is it doesn't seem as if this meteor has landed and brought space plants with it. It's like all the plants that are already here and pre-existing react to it.
Uh-huh.
And react to Jordy growing his own plant life and stuff like that. It's not like it's like pre-existing stuff is affected by it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I love the fantasy sequences.
Yeah, dude.
They reminded me of A Christmas Story, but this actually came out before A Christmas Story.
That's funny because after you mentioned that, it totally feels exactly like the over-the-top, whimsical, idealized. Plus. He goes to the Department of Meteors, right?
Yep.
And he's like, I'll offer you $50. And he's like 200 and not a cent less.
Yeah.
Like, it's so big and dumb and over the top and awesome.
And then later, when he goes, in his fantasy, goes to the doctor to have the fingertips checked out, it's the same guy from the Meteor.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's dumb. Because Jordy's dumb. He just assumes whatever they do at the college, it's everything, right?
Yeah. Just some learned man will tell me my whole arm needs to come off or whatever. But yeah, basically he gets this meteor and takes it inside and starts growing all this plant life and stuff all over his body. And at first it starts to just like some like moss on his fingertips
and then on his tongue.
Oh. That to me is like way gross. The thought of having like a growth on my tongue or something. That's like the shit they showed in like Planet Terror where like dude's tongue is like getting all pustule filled and shit. It's the worst. And like in your mouth. It's so bad. But like as he's going through this stuff and continually growing more and more, and he's drinking some Ripple and watching some Razzlin'.
Watching Bob Backlund take on the Samoan.
Just the good old days. Yeah. Sounds like
Vince McMahon is doing the commentary.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. Very old school. Stephen King likes Razzlin', doesn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
I want to say there's been some other connections with his stuff in wrestling.
He's been incorporating pop culture into his books, which I think has been one of the genius things about him.
Keeps it relevant, man.
He keeps it relevant. Whereas, like, you know, H.P. Lovecraft, you go back to it and it's like, well, but like, what time is this? Like, it doesn't feel like any specific era or decade or anything. But with Stephen King, it's very specific. Like, songs are mentioned, movies are mentioned, things like that.
Always keeping with the times.
Yeah.
But you get this sense of just how lonely this guy's existence is. Like, it's basically just him. I mean, the only other characters in this
out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, and the only other characters in this are entirely just his fantasies. Yeah, the meteorologist guy and like his dad that we see at the very end. Those are the only other people in this. This is like a Stephen King like one act essentially. Yeah, and it's like, again, I know that it's silly and like. He wakes up after watching wrestling. He's got all this growth all over him, and he makes this like giant screwdriver with like a bottle of vodka and some orange juice.
He mixes the screwdriver with the bottle of vodka. He, like,
that's a good move. I love that move. That's awesome. And yeah, he decides that he needs to go like take a bath. And that's when he has that vision of his dad, and you suddenly get this like other insight that's like, oh, this guy came from this like puritanical kind of household, I guess.
Yeah, so and also interesting, next to his bathtub, a bunch of porno mags.
I didn't see that.
As
really
a reference back to the prologue. Like he keeps a pretty good thread going.
I didn't see that.
I mean, the primary thread is that ashtray from the first one is in all.
It's in his house, yeah.
But it's actually in all of the.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
but he has that vision of his father, and then he's like, "I'm growing." Which just seems so weird and like poignant.
It's very puberty-like too, because
but he's a grown-ass man.
Yeah, at that point, the moss is only like in the beard area and the chest hair area.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a puberty moment, but he's a grown-ass man. So it's like, oh, like that's weird. It kind of indicates to us that he's like maybe developmentally behind, like maybe because his father and mother didn't tell him about puberty and stuff. Like he's having this like second puberty revelation.
There's even that part where he's getting in the bath and he like looks down at like his crotch and he's like, not there too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is very, very puberty like. Now that you mentioned, I hadn't thought about it that way.
Yeah,
huh? And he gets in.
It's feasible to say that he's has some relation to the kid from the prologue. Like, it's possible to think that they look alike, obviously. Like, is this supposed to demonstrate to us like what what this young kid will be like if he's raised by this father in this manner. Like, he will be this
could be
sort of hapless idiot who doesn't know anything about the world because he doesn't get to read.
Because he's sheltered, yeah. But man, whenever he takes the bath and it just accelerates the growth of everything, and then
it gets dark.
It gets really fucking dark. Yeah, he wakes up and realizes like he's just this like moss man. And he'd been talking about his like streak of bad luck that he's always had. He's like, oh, that virile bad luck or whatever.
Luck always comes in only one kind, B-A-D.
Yeah. And he sits down against the wall and like fucking grabs a shotgun,
blows his head off,
and just blows his head off. He says something about like his luck again. He's like, let this be good luck this time, or some shit like that. I can't remember what it is that he says, but something to indicate like hopefully this works out.
Yeah.
And I mean, it shows it. He's leaning up against the wall and just blows his head off, just totally Cobain's it. And well,
I mean, Courtney Love wasn't there, but
that's true. That's a good point. Man, it's dark.
Yeah, it does. It gets real dark from being real goofy. That's why I like it. I think it's the best acted of the segment. Well, I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson are really
great.
Good together.
They're really good.
Yeah.
This has just such a weird dynamic where it's like it's so silly and goofy, but then also at the end makes you feel really dark and strange and weird. That this poor like simple guy that just came across this thing and had these big plans and this shitty past that you just kind of assumed that he had.
$200.
A big $200. Yeah, that was his dream, is $200. And because things start going downhill, he's just like, I guess I'll just kill myself.
Yep.
I mean, that's rugged.
It is. What would you rate this, Ben?
I think this is probably like an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah. It's fucking awesome.
I'd say it's up there. It's real good. And it's real quick too. Like it's quick and to the point.
And the thing is too is like after he kills himself, they start talking about how like there's going to be a huge rain covering the town of Castle Rock and all this shit.
And Castle Rock's 5 miles away. We see on a sign.
Yeah.
That's
and
pretty cool.
It's going to help everything grow and all this jazz.
So that's going to take over basically. The plant is going to. I
guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as we know from Castle Rock, it sure didn't.
That's right. That
Bill Skarsgård, he came along. He was a devil, I think.
He was a devil underneath that jail cell and so on. You know, the cool thing about this one too is that house that you see that Jordy lives in and stuff was all built.
Yeah, almost all of this was shot in a girls' school. In Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah, a former girls' school. They just turned it into studio and set
That's
up
crazy.
Tons of different sets.
This one, apparently the story is that they gained access to this big plot of like open farmland that they actually built that house on.
Okay.
So they built this house on what used to be this formerly vacant lot of farmland. And the story is that they apparently got a lot of complaints and stuff from airline pilots who were used to flying over this big stretch of open farmland, and then suddenly they see this like house and movie set and all this shit, and they thought that they were in the wrong area, so they like turn around and shit.
Did they not check like any of their instruments?
I have no idea. Again, this is like Flight in the early 80s, right? I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, well, honestly, they were too drunk to check those instruments is the thing.
That's true, yeah.
But apparently it really caused like some problems because
that's crazy.
They built this like landmark there and nobody understood what was going on. Pretty crazy stuff, man.
I think for me, 8.5 sounds about right. This is a real good anthology horror segment.
And also, too, this is the first time that I noticed how sick the soundtrack was. There's a lot of just like very Carpenter-esque synthesizer, real simple monophonic synth stuff in the soundtrack.
I hadn't really thought about that. You're right.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of those good synthesizer stings and stuff. Yeah.
Liked it a lot. Now, after this, we get on to the third segment.
Something to tide you over. Now, this was my favorite growing up.
Okay.
And it still, I think, is one of the stronger segments. But Ted Danson, I've always loved. Leslie Nielsen, always loved.
Oh, yeah.
And they're both very funny, man.
Yeah,
and
they are.
There's nothing funny about this.
Especially like Leslie Nielsen. That was the thing that really surprised me about this is whenever I saw that he was in this, I was like, okay, cool.
So
When's
this is going to
get
be a funny
silly?
segment, yeah.
he is villainous.
Yep.
And very believable in this, man.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Leslie Nielsen, though, is he was a very funny man. And so he had a fart machine in his pocket, and he would wait until right before George Romero would call action, and then he'd hit it. And everybody would be cracking up by the time
the tension immediately.
He called action. So everybody's laughing immediately, blows the take.
That's awesome.
I read an interview with Ted Danson, and Ted Danson said at that time, like, they went on a flight together, and they were talking across the aisle, and he said every third person who would walk by Leslie Nielsen would use that fart machine. And eventually they got kicked out of first class.
Out of first class.
Yes.
Pro move. Using your fart machine in first class. That's what we call textbook not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
That's killer, man. Yeah, I've always loved Leslie Nielsen, man.
Yeah.
I think there's something about like dudes from our era.
Yeah.
That guy just tickles our fucking funny bone.
Yeah.
Most chicks I know hate him. Kate like hates him. A lot of girls I know don't think he's funny at all.
Okay, so you said this when we've talked about him before, and
Emily's a fan, right?
Most women I know are fans of Leslie Nielsen.
That's so crazy. Yeah. So it's just polarizing, I guess.
Maybe. Or maybe you just ran into some sour women.
Oh my God, from the wrong side of town.
Mom
was right. I gotta call Mom and tell her she was right.
I married the wrong woman, a Leslie Nielsen hater.
Say it ain't so, son. Say it ain't so. I tried to warn you.
I told you her Nielsen rating was too low. That's a thing we all have. A Nielsen
pretty sure.
rating.
Yeah, myself,
how much we love.
It's a 10.
Nielsen. There you go.
It's a 10 out of 9 is the thing that you don't expect.
That's
though.
Even better.
Nielsen rating only goes to 9. He's a 10 out of 9.
He's a 10 out of 9.
You're damn right. Now the storyline in this one is like a little ambiguous.
It is. It's basically the idea I get is that Ted Danson is sleeping with Leslie Nielsen's wife.
Leslie
Nielsen has buried her in the sand at a different point in the beach, takes Ted Danson to another point, buries them, and then shows them each other on a monitor drowning.
There's kind of this weird technological slant to this one too, almost like a Black Mirror episode.
It keeps showing like cameras and stuff.
Like closed circuit surveillance cameras and shit. Like he's got his whole house wired with cameras.
Yeah.
And you got to think in 1982, that was very like high tech, expensive shit. You
absolutely.
know? I mean, everybody now uses their old iPhone as a house camera.
Oh, duh.
You know?
Of course.
But like back then, that wasn't really a thing. So this one has this weird like technological slant, but it's never really, I don't think, exactly said that there was like this love triangle or they were sleeping around or anything. It was just like, come with me or something bad's going to happen to Barbara.
There's a lot of like talking around it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's never really exactly said.
The thing is that's interesting to me is the whole time Ted Danson has so many opportunities to escape.
Okay, yeah.
And
he just kind of goes along with it.
Right. And that's why I, again, thought a male authority figure. He must have some issue with male authority figures. Like growing up, maybe he never got to that point where you say no and confront that male authority figure. And so he just goes along. Even though he knows he's like, this guy is obviously in a bad state of mind. Even as he learns that he's buried his wife in the sand, like he's still going along with him.
Yeah, get in that hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not much resistance. There's not much of any resistance. Now, I will say, and this gave me the idea for a future video series of horror Mythbusters.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure I could have gotten out of that hole.
Get buried up to the neck in sand.
Yeah.
And get yourself out like.
Yeah, because he wasn't, I mean, a lot of people would say, well, because he's on his knees, it's harder. And I would say, well, because he's on his knees, there's a lot less sand.
He's buried like a foot less deep.
Yeah, so there's a lot less sand.
And you can also hoist yourself up, whereas if your legs are straight.
Push yourself up. Yeah, if you were straight up,
you can't push against anything.
Move your arms up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to try it. I know once it gets wet, that would be an issue. The moment it gets wet, it weighs so much more.
Oh, God, yeah.
But he has opportunities when it's dry to just get out of it.
That's true. He's there in the dry sand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder about that. I mean, because part of me is like, okay, if you're completely surrounded by sand, surely that would be a couple 100 pounds worth.
Probably.
But I mean,
I can lift a couple 100 pounds.
Ted Danson's he's pretty big masculine man too.
He's
so.
like 6'4" or something.
Wow,
is
he really?
Dude. Yeah,
big guy.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy. Yeah, so I don't know. I would like to know that as well. Now that you mentioned it, I'm kind of like, I wonder if that could happen.
I would love to see if that's possible. Because, I mean, if I find out I'm wrong, at least I got a trip to the beach. If I find out I'm right, then we can sue Creepshow for false advertising.
There we go.
Finally.
Now we're talking.
Take down that Romero.
I'll use the money for good purposes. I'll pay for your funeral.
Thank you.
Then I'll use the money for good stuff. Just good stuff.
Just good stuff.
Meaning more guitars.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, you need them.
I mean, yeah, I'm running low.
The same.
And they're all different colors. Mostly, they're mostly all different colors.
That is true.
Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. You're welcome.
So I read this interview with Ted Danson, and they were just going over his career, and they got to Creepshow, and this just stuck out to me. It's so fucking funny. So the scene where he's underwater, and he's like yelling.
Oh yeah. His head's like a fish
fucker!
tank or something. Yeah.
So before that, he and Tom Savini smoked a joint. And the rig was an aquarium that was on like a yoke that you could put on your shoulders so it would sit straight.
Okay, cool.
And then they filled it with water, and they just had
some fishes.
He was just sitting down. They would just put down like a breathing apparatus. He would breathe in and pull it out
to like an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Or something.
Well, Ted Danson got so stoned that at a certain point he got convinced Tom Savini was trying to drown him. He didn't actually have any lines in that. He was supposed to just be like in the water. So he was yelling at Tom Savini when he was yelling, "You fucker!"
Seriously?
Yes.
That's awesome. And they were just filming it like, look at this stoned idiot freaking out. We'll use it. Print it.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That rules. I bet Tom Savini. Could you imagine like how fun it is to get stoned with Tom Savini?
I bet it would be a blast. Yeah,
Dude, I just
love to get stoned with Tom Savini or
just
Ted
tell me
Danson.
some stories.
Yeah,
tell me some crazy shit that's happened on the set of these movies while we smoke this joint. That would be incredible.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Dude, so cool. Yeah, when I read that story, I immediately was like, well, I have to tell that one. That one's great.
No doubt, man. Well, and then later on, we get Ted Danson and his chick that come back as these like water zombies, which I will say, having two stories where people come back as zombies back to back.
Yeah.
They probably shouldn't have done that. That probably should have been like story 1, then like story 4 or something like that. Like space those out.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I love the water
they did
zombies.
Look great. Yeah. They looked kind of like old Greg.
They did look like old Greg.
I imagine old Greg looked like them.
They weren't drinking Baileys from a shoe.
They
or
were
anything
not.
like that,
they were not. They weren't wearing tutus.
They did look pretty old Greg.
It's attached to your rod, mother liquor.
God, that shit is so weird. It is intensely strange and awesome.
Yeah.
But man, like they have this like greenish, drowned, like waterlogged kind of look, and I love that they're like soaking wet the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, they're not like dry looking, they're damp.
Okay, so Ted Danson also told this story. Apparently his daughter was on set that day, and he was really worried about her seeing him in all that makeup, that it would scare her.
Be like seeing your dad without a mustache or something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What the fuck? But apparently at some point she saw him, and she was just like, "Hey, Dad."
Oh.
Like, not even affected by it.
No big deal.
Yeah. That's one of those things that I don't know as a child how I would react to it. Because it seems like that would...
It could be like really horrific,
Real
or be
traumatic.
like, look at what a fucking idiot my dad is.
My dad's an idiot. Yeah.
I wish my dad had a regular job and worked in a factory or something. You know?
Yeah.
I love whenever...
Do you imagine the child that wishes that?
I wish my dad worked in a factory.
Just worked in a factory instead of being a movie star.
So lame. He's just out here pretending all day. He could be making something.
Be practical, Dad.
Practical Dad. Practical Dad. Always doing boring things. Practical Dad.
Looks like the forecast is calling for rain at 6. Better mow the lawn at 4.
Better get this thing done in time.
Hey, you're going out. Better take a water. You might get thirsty.
Take care of yourself out there. Practical Dad.
Buckle up, everyone. Practical Dad.
Man, I love to, like, whenever Leslie Nielsen, like, shoots them, like, the bullet wounds don't produce, like, blood. They produce this, like, blue-green, like, algae
like a slimy
ooze.
water ooze, yeah.
It's cool. And then they bury him. And he's like, I could hold my breath for a long time. That's about the only time he gets close to zany in this. But otherwise, he plays it pretty fucking cool, man.
It's, I mean, it's a good short tale of revenge and further revenge.
Yeah, I guess revenge. That's it. Yeah, double revenge movie. And like I said, you got this technological slant in there. And even, I think the whole thing of like the cameras and the burying people alive is like vaguely James Bondy or something. You know, like
he's like a James Bond villain. Almost, with all the
gadgets and stuff, the long-term death plans, you know?
And his speech. I mean, he's basically, like, he is telling him the whole time, I'm a Bond villain. Like, I don't, if anything is mine, it's mine. Blah, blah, blah. Like, his idea of possession. And the way, like, this movie has a very interesting way of treating women. Overall, and I don't know that it's a positive.
I'm unsure.
Yeah.
Well, but you know, again, it's like we've talked before many times about Stephen King writing
women characters.
Not often the greatest.
Yeah. Not really. I would say Bedelia is maybe like a good, strong character, though the fact that the story she's in is about her losing is kind of sad.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that one too. I guess that's the next story here, because that's kind of up for debate. Yeah.
The Crate.
The Crate is story number 4.
But yeah, so what would you give that last time? I'd say it's to me it's like a 7.5, 8.
I'm gonna go. Let's see, something to tide you over. I'm gonna say is like a 7.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I'm kind of rating that lower is I think the aesthetic of it looks very late 70s.
Yeah.
Which to me is like one of my least favorite looks.
It is.
You know?
It's a gross
look. I mean, he's like, Leslie Nielsen's wearing like a velour tracksuit.
He is.
And there's a lot of just like brown and tan things in this. It's just not really my look. Yeah, exactly.
Just carpet.
Yeah. Ugh. But again, cool soundtrack stuff and great performances overall. I can't complain too much.
One of the first words in the segment, The Crate, is fuckadiddle.
Fuckadiddle.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Fuckadiddle-doo.
Fuckadiddle.
Don't they say cockadoodle-doo in... Fuck, what is that in? Damn it. I want to say it's like one of the like Simon Pegg movies.
Oh.
Fuck-a-doodle-doo.
I don't know.
Is that maybe in Hot Fuzz or something?
Maybe.
I can't remember.
I watched Hot Fuzz recently.
Okay, so probably not that.
I don't remember.
I might be completely wrong about that. Okay, so that's a pretty great way to kick this thing off.
Fuck-a-diddle. What do we got in here? We got Adrienne Barbeau looking like a Monchichi.
Oh my god, dude. Her hair and stuff is just awful.
So Adrienne Barbeau, she plays this brash and boisterous wife.
Boy, is she.
I guess we're supposed to hate. And the problem for me is that when I see a bunch of academics together with sticks up their butts,
clearly, as you see in this,
for me, they're the ones I dislike.
Yeah,
I've been to those stick up your butt meeting things, and
are they a good time?
No, never.
I'm sure they're not political whatsoever.
Not even half a moment of fun, unless the right person is there who knows that I can say stuff to that guy because he's not gonna run and tell everyone, oh, that guy's a secret racist, I think. Mm-hmm. He told me he likes red M&Ms.
Oh, my Lord of mercy.
Yeah, but academia is crazy.
Yeah, it's all fucking politics.
Yeah, and that's what this gets at a good bit. And kind of like, I get why he's embarrassed by her in this circumstance. But in a lot of ways, like, what he's embarrassed by is the fact that his wife has personality and he doesn't.
Well, here's the thing is like after you kind of pointed that out while we were talking about, plotting this episode and stuff out is like in my head and in my notes, I'm just like, oh my God, this fucking Billy chick is just obnoxious as fuck and just a total ball buster, just brutal on her husband and stuff. But then it's kind of what you pointed out. It's like, well, what's so great about him?
Yeah, he has no personality.
Personality.
His only personality is hating his wife.
Yeah.
And it's like, you chose her.
Well, and the thing is, and also too, it's like you chose to stay with her.
Yeah.
Like anytime you see relationships in that situation where one person is just like seemingly very like verbally abusive or whatever to the other person, you're like, oh, that's just terrible. They say those things. Well, guess what? That person that's on the receiving end of those things is an idiot for sticking around. Get away and make your life better.
I mean, of course, there's always mitigating circumstances for sure. But in this case specifically, it's like he has, like, he's not dependent on her for money or anything. Like,
he clearly must not think very much of himself to stick with her.
Exactly. If he hates her so much, like, you are a white man in the 80s. You could literally, you own the world. Just kill her in front of everyone.
Yeah.
Which is the fantasy he has.
Fantasy that he has. And people like do those like little claps. They're like, way to go, you murdered her.
You just kill her in front of everyone and be like, she kept insisting people call her Billy. And then the cops would be like, sir, here's my gun.
William is a man's name.
Here's my gun and badge. Kill whoever you'd like.
On me. This one's on the house.
What if cops could give away free murders?
Yeah, one murder on the house.
This one's on the house. All right. You saved a cop in like 10 years ago, so you can do whatever you want.
Pass go, collect $200. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, it's interesting when you point it out that way, where it's like I said, my first instinct was to go like, man alive, she fucking sucks. Well, yeah, but then it's like, he sucks too.
Yeah, that's the perspective of the writing and the directing, but just looking at it, it's just like, well, first off, I don't get this is like Chaucer level, like the scold character, like she scolds her husband and therefore she's bad.
Okay.
And it's like, I think that doesn't happen as much anymore. It's pretty much gone the way of the dodo, because it's very clear what that means is if a woman speaks up and says what she's thinking, she's wrong. Like, she shouldn't do that. Her husband is the one who decides what she's thinking. But the perspective of this is a little off for me, where it's like, no, we're supposed to think she's bad.
That's the impression I got too. It's like, I don't really think that you're supposed to be having the thoughts that we're saying right now, where it's like, well, he puts up with it, and well, he's a fucking boring academic dude anyway. Like, what's the big deal about that guy? I don't really get that it was supposed to be making you think those things, but we see it now.
Yeah, the way we look at it from from the 2019 perspective is, this is a little off. Now, we do later get good reason to dislike her whenever he calls her to pretend that his friend, I think, raped a girl,
or maybe locked her up and beat her,
but that she's just like laughing about it.
Yeah, she's like, oh, what did he do? Did he hit her?
Yeah, she's not really, she doesn't seem to be a sympathetic person at that point.
No, definitely not standing up for other women and stuff like that. Yeah, you get the impression that this guy that the husband works with, like, kind of fucks students a lot, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. And so, when he tells her that, it's believable to her. So,
but again, that's more reasons to dislike him too. It's like,
because
why would you be friends with this fucking guy that fucks students?
Everybody in this is pretty deplorable.
They really are.
Except for Mike the janitor, who he seems pretty
cool.
He's a nice guy. He got killed.
I mean, the thing is, though, is actually during that same scene, I found another reason to greatly dislike Billy, which is her affinity for drinking milk and whiskey. She's just drinking a big old glass of milk.
I wonder what that's called. What is that drink called? A milk and whiskey.
Alcoholism. Any reason to be an alcoholic, I think is what that's called. I think that's called indifference.
Yeah, there you go.
What's your favorite mixer for
Desire
whiskey?
To die.
Don't care.
Just give it to me, whatever.
Anything. I would
Cigarette think ashtray? Sure, I'll drink an ashtray full of whiskey.
Put the whiskey in there. Don't give a fuck. My life sucks. I love too that she's like at home drinking that, and then gets kind of called over to the school.
Yeah,
and she like carries it with her. I'll take my glass of milk.
I've always found something very comical about seeing someone carrying a glass from home in a school. The first time I saw it happen was Holly Ford.
That's oddly specific.
I know.
When we were in college.
And it's just so odd and out of place to see, because you don't see people walking around with a glass of something at school. You just never see it.
I mean, I wouldn't know, so I'll take your word for it.
You might see a Starbucks cup.
Even Dahmer?
Well, Dahmer, yeah, of course, he'd have a glass of vodka. But again, that was odd, right?
Kind of strange, I guess. I guess so.
But that's I saw it a number of times after that, especially when I was in grad school, and it was like we were there all the time. So bring whatever the fuck you want. You're just living at school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I don't know. Every time I saw it after that, it always just stuck out in my mind. Like, what? Where did that come from? Where did you get a glass? You brought a glass from home into your car, an open glass?
It's an open container.
It doesn't even have a lid. What? How?
Sometimes I'll be doing something like in the morning where like I'll wake up and I'll make a cup of coffee, and then I'll realize like, oh, I need this or whatever to make lunch, and so then I'll like go to the store
with your coffee,
with my cup of coffee. See, with a mug.
Is exactly what I'm talking about. If I saw somebody with a mug of coffee in a grocery store, I'd be like, what the fuck?
And I have noticed at times where I'm like, this seems kind of silly,
it's a little weird.
But I mean, I wasn't gonna put this in a to-go cup just so I could drive somewhere. If it's like a half-drunk cup of coffee, there's no risk of this spilling. I'll take it in my car.
Right.
If it's full, I'm gonna put that in a to-go, because if I hit a bump, it's going everywhere, and that's awful. But if it's like a half-full cup of coffee, fuck it, I'll just take it with me. Or like I'll go to like the bank teller window. Like, I just like to cash these checks, drinking out of my mug, and I'm like, this looks kind of weird. I guess
all I'm waiting for is to see one day some dude just walking into a movie theater with a plate and a fork, just eating something.
That would crack me up.
That would be amazing.
That I would be
just
like,
spaghetti. Just
you,
like,
sir, I respect.
Brought this from home. Oh, really?
No kidding. You didn't get at the snack bar? I think that'd be cool. I'd be like, you know what? I respect the shit out of you. I don't know you, but I'm forced to respect your decisions.
I have to.
Yeah. Look at the authority that man has. Well, he has uncut meat on that plate.
He doesn't even have a knife.
Yeah.
How's he going to do
What's he doing? That is a man with confidence and boldness. And basically, the crux of this story is that the janitor accidentally finds this sealed crate underneath the stairs at the university.
1834, almost 150 years old.
From Antarctica.
Yeah, and it's got the name Carpenter on it.
Oh. I wonder what the thing about that is. Some people think
this might be a nod to The Thing, and also John Carpenter was working on his adaptation of Stephen King's Christine while this was being filmed. So
maybe
that was very likely a nod to Carpenter. And Adrienne Barbeau and John Carpenter were married at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. Just yet another one of those times that like this iconically hot female ends up with a guy that's like way not in her league. Right. John Carpenter, never been a good looking guy.
No, he's just a dude.
Yeah.
Just looks like some guy.
Listen, dudes, if you want to get chicks, don't be a fucking asshole and be good at something.
Yeah, just go be good at something. People are like, that's attractive.
Be funny.
Yep. Oh, man. That works.
Tons of bonus points.
Yep.
At least be confident. Fuck.
Let's just stop whining, really.
Seriously.
That's what you need.
Just quit fucking whining.
Stop whining.
Stop with the fucking
Nobody
whining.
likes the whining.
Oh, my God. Anybody that does like the whining is nobody that you want in your fucking life.
That's true.
Go stay home with your fucking mom.
Yeah, because people generally, if they like other people's whining, it's that they like that the person next to them is incapable. Like, they like having that power over them, knowing, like, oh, this person can't do anything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And you don't want any of that shit in your life.
Yeah, you don't need to be that person.
No.
Yeah.
And that crate, we've come to find out, contains what is known on the set as Fluffy.
Fluffy, yeah.
It's never called that in the movie, but everybody knows it as Fluffy.
It's just like a gorilla-ish creature.
Kind of Wendigo, Sasquatchy kind of thing.
A trollish, maybe. But it's just this cool creature. Tom Savini's first animatronic.
That's crazy, because it's like great.
It's awesome, yeah.
And it's shot very cool too.
Yeah, they made good choices with it, because like when you do finally see the close-up of its eyes at the end, it's a little like, oh, that looks obviously like an animatronic. Yeah. But the way they shoot it, it always looks great.
Well, one thing about this that's cool too that works very well with the comic book narrative is that a lot of times throughout this whole movie, but especially in this segment, whenever like action and stuff starts happening or like crazy supernatural shit goes on, the lighting gets like Argento crazy.
Yes.
Like during this,
like deep reds and blues,
pinks and blues. Yeah. It's like very Suspiria lighting. So whenever this thing like flips out and like grabs I think it grabs the janitor first, right, and kills him.
Yeah, he's the first one who dies.
Like the lighting goes from just like totally normal to this crazy psychedelic, like we said, pinks and blues and all this stuff. And for one, it's so disorienting. They're like, what the fuck's going on? And just big soundtrack stabs and stuff going on. But also the crazy monochromatic lighting kind of hides the fact that this thing's fake.
That's true.
It's very advantageous and stylish, and also, again, comic book accurate.
Yes.
There's a lot of times, especially in those old comics, when they only, would do like 12 colors or whatever in a book. Where they would choose to make entire panels like just, I don't know, make it pink, whatever.
There was a period. The term yellow journalism comes from the fact that Hearst, in his papers with the comic books, instead of running it with 2 colors, he had 3.
Look out.
Yellow in there.
Son of a bitch.
And people were like, that's dirty. That's cheap.
How salacious.
I can't believe yellow is in there.
This is supposed to be goddamn journalism.
Can you imagine the person who basically like ripped their shirt off at that moment? Like, what the fuck? Yellow? No!
It's probably the same person that's just like, the president wore a tan suit.
That same guy. It's the same dude. He survived that long.
Yeah.
He survived like 90 years.
He survived on rage alone.
Outraged by those 2 things.
Those are the things that kept him alive.
And he died.
The rage kept him going. And of course, our guy tries to find this plot to have his obnoxious wife killed by this beast. Because again, he's too weak and powerless to do it himself or just leave.
And even, so when the monster doesn't immediately attack her, he does his like rage thing, and she just laughs at him. She's not afraid of him.
And then she starts being like, when's the last time you even got it up?
Yeah.
Just totally like emasculates him and shit.
So in a lot of ways, I would say that like the crate, like the monster in the crate is supposed to represent his like rage.
Suppressed and
his
stuff.
Suppressed rage, yeah. But like it also represents an external thing entirely, so... Because, like, he's not involved when it first kills Mike the janitor. He's not even there. It's his other friend, so...
Right, yeah. It's not really a representation of that then. And at the very end, we also find that Fluffy is still alive. Like, there's a crate in the bottom of the water and stuff there. And, it's alive and it escapes. I mean, obviously, this thing has survived sitting in a box for 150 years. It is somewhat immortal, I guess.
It's one of them water bears.
Oh, it's one of them. A tardigrade, it's called.
It's a big ass. They call it a giant tardigrade.
Oh,
yeah.
That would be a force to be reckoned with, right there.
It really would.
That'd be unkillable.
Fuck. Can you imagine?
What if they were were tardigrades?
What?
Where you just turn into this like mega invincible, unkillable.
But you're tiny.
But you're very small.
Teeny tiny.
Very, very small. I can feel myself shrinking. Well, the thing is, though, is like you do the werewolf thing and duck behind like an armoire or a Hepplewhite.
But you never come back up.
Yeah, everybody's like, where'd he go? I don't know. It's like he vanished. And he's down there being like, you cannot stop me. It is I. We're tardigrade. That's funny, man.
So the graduate student says one of the funniest things that I've ever heard. He said, they're going to think you've been off on a hell of a toot.
Hell of a toot, they say.
What's a toot?
What?
What does that mean? Toot means fart, right?
I guess so.
I think you've been off on a hell of a fart.
Okay. I'll tell you what, though. I have heard people refer to like taking a bump of coke as like a toot.
Toot of coke. Okay,
so maybe it's like they thought he would be off on a big coke.
Cocaine was very ubiquitous in the late 70s.
Everybody did it back then, so maybe that's what he meant. Is like maybe a toot's like a coke bend or something like that.
That makes sense.
Is that the guy that looks like Paul Giamatti? The grad student
I
looks
thought
like Paul Giamatti.
He sounds like him too.
I know, it's like weird.
Yeah. Oh man, that's weird. I was thinking maybe that like because like I have heard someone say I'm gonna get farted when they wanted to get drunk.
Really?
I'm gonna get farted.
What the fuck does that mean?
But again, we live in the South.
We'll call it anything.
You can literally say anything and it means probably getting drunk.
Probably getting fucked up. That's funny, man.
We'll get farted. All right.
Yeah, this segment is cool. Like it's honestly cool because of Fluffy.
It seems a little long.
I know, it feels longer than the others. It does.
Longer than the others, and it also, the central conceits of it, I just don't think work anymore.
Yeah. It's not really aged that well, and I just don't really care about any of the characters, like literally any of them.
They're all bad people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I don't really find any of them compelling exactly. Yeah. Other than the janitor, he seemed cool.
Yeah.
He just wanted his quarter, man.
Poor Mike.
I know.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Mike the janitor.
I think this is probably my least favorite segment of the whole thing.
Yeah, I would say this one is for me, like maybe like 5.5, 6.
Yeah.
It's still very watchable, but it's like too slow.
I think I would go like 6 for me. Yeah, like, and that's mainly just saved by the fluffy creature effects, which look awesome.
Looks awesome.
Again, very cleverly shot. I mean, sometimes it's clearly like a guy's arm in like a fursuit.
Right.
You know, and other times you get the cool facial animatronic thing and all that. That's really neat. And I think the parts where it's showing the main guy like fantasize about killing his wife are very, very, very dark.
They are.
And humorous.
Good dark humor, yeah.
Yeah, so I like those aspects of it. And then that is followed by they're creeping up on you, the final segment in here, which is pretty crazy. It's short. It's very simple compared to the other ones.
And only, we hear some voices. We see what's his name? Mr. White. So only 2 characters in it entirely? Well,
I guess
only two people
in
show
person.
up physically.
Yeah. There's some people on the phone and stuff. And he is this old guy that lives in this stark, sterile, white, futuristic apartment.
Yeah.
That has these weird like vacuum chutes where you can dispose of like tissues and stuff like this. He seems to be like a very germaphobe.
Yeah, it's that Howard Hughes thing.
Yeah. Like he doesn't really touch anything. He'll grab like a Kleenex to pick something up and then dispose of it and stuff. Yeah, he's very much quarantined himself in this hopefully sterile apartment.
Which, I mean, this all goes into like that thing when a rich guy is cornered by the reality of death is basically like,
you can't buy your way out.
Can't do a damn thing about it. Yeah.
Right.
So like he's trying to avoid germs at all cost, but like it's driven him to madness basically because, as we know, the bugs aren't really there, it seems, right? Like, it seems like he's imagining all the bugs. Because, like, he keeps talking about the bugs and everybody keeps dismissing him. And then even, Mr. White shows up to deal with the bugs. And it's like, there are no bugs.
Yeah, there ain't any bugs. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of interesting to me with this one. It's just like, what is actually real and what's going on here? Yeah. I've heard some people, like, kind of theorize that the fact that his whole apartment is white means that he's in like a white like padded cell.
Yeah, I thought that myself while watching it most recently. Like,
and he's wearing like a bathrobe and loose clothes.
Yeah, it seems very. And the way they like all crazy. Talk to him is all kind of like, oh yeah, we know you're crazy. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna get in there and get rid of them bugs.
Yeah,
it's that kind of thing, which is kind of cool if you look at it from that perspective, But he's a total piece of shit, and
absolutely,
he's played by Clark Griswold's father-in-law.
That's true.
The little lights, they aren't twinkling. You know who else works hard? Washing machines. That's my favorite. He's like, he worked very hard on this, dear. You know who else works hard? Washing machines. I'm pretty sure it's him that says that. Or no, that might be the really old guy that says that.
I think so. Maybe. I don't remember.
Yeah. God, I love Christmas Vacation. It's the best. And he's just a big piece of shit. He's like very much an Ebenezer Scrooge type character.
Yes. Yeah, calling a guy on his Disney vacation, telling him he has to come back or whatever.
Yeah, he finds out one of his guys like killed himself.
Yeah, he finds out that the guy whose company he's buying killed himself, which he says is good because now they don't have to put the old bastard on the board. So like he doesn't care about people. He's not in the least bit worried about the fact that people are going to look bad on him when he dies. Like, he doesn't give a shit about any of that.
And that guy's wife like calls him and is like, I hope you get cancer and all this crazy shit.
A lot of people hope I die.
Yeah. He's like, go fuck somebody.
Oh, yeah, no, he says that to his employee, right?
Yeah.
Go fuck somebody.
And wear a rubber.
Wear a rubber.
Everybody these days got that herpes or whatever.
Go fuck somebody is like...
I like that better than go fuck yourself.
I do too. Because it's like a positive.
Yeah,
it's
I don't know, whatever. Go fuck somebody.
Go fuck somebody. It'll change your perspective.
Go make a connection. But yeah, this one basically, the guy's like all alone in this sanitary apartment with his cool, crazy jukebox.
Yeah. The look of this is definitely, like he says, it's a $3,200 a month apartment, and there's not much in there.
No, there's nothing.
I mean, there's
in there.
Space, but like he doesn't have anything. Like, does he have a bed? Oh, he does.
He's got the bed. Yeah,
and it's inside of like a further chamber that's like sealed off from
insulated.
Even the rest of the apartment.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And the cool thing about this is that whenever his house starts getting major league infested by all those cockroaches and stuff, I mean, all of that shit is real. They actually wrangled in all
about
these
20,000 cockroaches.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
George Romero reported it at a fan conference as 200,000 or 250,000.
That'd be a big chunk of money.
But Tom Savini says 20,000, and they were like they were like made to look like there were more using nuts and raisins.
Just good old peanuts and raisins.
Yeah, just, I mean, like the colors matched, so like you just put a bunch of roaches over them, so any of the empty spaces you still see what looks kind of like
that makes sense. Yeah, if you got those scenes where like there's a big mass of them all in like a big
when there's
glob,
like that huge pile of them in there.
Yeah, there's no need to actually pile them that deep. Yeah, that's crazy. But they apparently had just a hell of a time keeping these things on set and stuff. Like they estimate that this introduced this entire new species of cockroaches and stuff into Pittsburgh because you can't contain them. I mean, dude, roaches, if you've ever had them, you know, they will scuttle in between anything and everything. There's no keeping them together and contained.
And now they're just fucking living off scrapple and salads with french fries in them.
Exactly right. Yeah. Pittsburgh stuff, I guess.
Pittsburgh stuff.
Just Pittsburgh stuff. A Primanti sandwich.
Cheering for the Pirates. Go Pirates!
Probably.
Yeah.
Don't they have that, what's that beer that they have? It's like Steel City beer or something like that.
Probably.
I can't remember what that's called. Right now, our Pittsburgh listeners are just going nuts on me right now.
I don't know much more about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
I'm willing to learn, though.
I'm willing to learn.
Any place that puts fries on a salad has got my fucking thumbs up.
I'll take it. Make that salad fun.
Yeah.
Why not? But yeah, it's pretty nasty, and they just had bugs crawling fucking all over that guy.
Ugh.
Disgusting.
I have heard that cockroaches actually clean themselves after we touch them.
Oh.
Because they're not actually dirty cockroaches.
Are you sure about that? They nasty.
They do seem to be nasty. I can smell them. Can you smell them?
No, but
okay.
Kate can.
Yeah.
And you said that you can smell them.
I can smell them. My wife can smell them. It's the worst thing.
What's it smell like? What's that smell like?
God, I don't know how to describe it.
Shitty?
Yeah, because like, it's not like, it's musky in a sense.
Okay.
But it's like, it's unmistakable. You walk into a place.
Like cat piss or something.
Like a lot of places that have cockroaches will have like cat piss or whatever other smells going on with it. But you walk into a place like this one apartment building. We were getting a new apartment in Russia. This one apartment building we went into, the apartment looked spotless and smelled fine, except I could smell there were cockroaches.
Ugh.
I could smell them clearly. And I told the lady, it's like, I smell cockroaches. And she was like, there's some cockroaches.
There's
some cockroaches. But here's what you do. You just go get this little gel and you put it on the back of your stove and they'll be gone.
Wow.
And by the way, that did work. We did end up moving.
Wow. Dude, that so reminds me of this time. You know, I teach a couple days a week down at the Guitar Vault.
Yeah.
In Morristown, Tennessee. And Morristown, a pretty low rent, low income.
Yeah.
just factory town.
Mm-hmm.
It's no, burgeoning metropolis.
No.
Not the home of the Philosophers Guild.
They do have pals, though.
I mean, that's where we met.
Good fries. That's
so
true.
It's a great place, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's, just like everywhere else, cool people wherever you go.
It's true.
Got to seek them out.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time that a guy brought a guitar in that he wanted, like, modified. Like, he wanted this... it was like a cheap piece of shit guitar, but he had this, like, crazy...
He wants you guys to put a scope on it?
He wanted a scope and the laser sights.
Okay.
And a pair of truck nuts.
All right.
Yeah. And we said, well, all right. Customers always put these truck nuts on there. And, like, some, like, skull knobs and stuff like this, right? Just tacky garbage shit. And so as Corey, who owns the shop, was, like, taking the guitar apart to put these new parts on there... Like, a fucking roach scuttles out of the guitar. A roach came out of the guitar. And Corey...
They can live, like, they can eat glue and live off it for a long time.
They're the ultimate survivors.
Yeah.
I mean, they really are. You can't kill the fuckers. And so, Corey immediately is just like, oh my God, fucking disgusting. And, like, calls the guy up, and he's like, hey, man... We have kind of a problem here. He's like, I was working on your guitar, and there's like roaches inside of it. He's like, there's bugs like in your guitar. He's like, I can't have those here, or else it's gonna infest the whole store. I need you to come take care of this. I'll be right down. Like, in my head, man, if I brought in a guitar for somebody to work on and cockroaches came out of it, I would be like, all right, I'm changing my name, leaving town. You'll never see me again.
I'm gonna move to a new state.
Yeah, the
my
person
name is
I am
Fernando now.
Yeah, the old me
that
is
song
dead
is
now.
About me.
Fernando. Like, I would just be like, well, my old life is gone now that somebody knows that I'm nasty enough that my instruments have roaches inside of them.
Yeah.
Goodbye, life. Bye.
Yep.
Cut and bait. Moving on.
Gotta go.
This guy comes in, gets his guitar. He also has under his arm like one of those big like spray pump bottles of like Raid.
Oh no.
Dude, dig this. This guy gets that guitar body and takes it out on the sidewalk in front of the store. There's like these like concrete benches out there. He puts the guitar down on the concrete bench, sprays it a few times with this pump action liquid Raid shit. I mean, newsflash, you shouldn't spray liquids all inside your guitar.
Probably not. Probably not a good idea. There are some electronic parts.
It's made of wood also. Yeah. And so he like sprays it down, kind of like picks it up and like drips it off a little bit, takes it back inside the store and is like, there was only like one or two in there.
Okay.
There was only one or two in there.
Only one or two.
I mean, how many do you have in your guitar?
That's true. I mean, right now...
4 or 5 at least.
Probably 4 or 5 per guitar in here.
I should think so. That's less than normal. Less than the average number of roaches in your guitar. Like, dude, could you fucking imagine going to a place of business, picking up your roach-infested guitar, hosing it down with bug killer in front of the shop, then taking it back and being like, I don't know why you freaked out. There's only like 1 or 2 roaches left in there.
Yikes.
Holy shit.
Cockroaches really gross me out. But, like, they destroy my wife. Like, she...
Yeah, Kate gets the full body shivers. Like, oh my God, fuck. Ah.
Yeah, she just wants to die if she sees a cockroach. Yeah. And she wants to clean everything ever.
Right.
Like, everything must be made clean again. Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's gross. That's the thing about this one is, like... Unlike all the other things where you see it, and it's like, okay, there's special effects of like somebody blowing their head off or blood and gore. That's gross.
There are cockroaches on that guy.
Yeah, those are real. Everything here is fucking real.
I mean, at the end, that's obviously like not his body or anything.
Yeah, when they like explode out of him.
He definitely had cockroaches on him.
All up on. So fucking grody, man. It's really cool. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is just really inconsequential and very short and pointless, but I like the whole concept that it's this guy that is living in his ivory tower. He thinks he's cut himself off from everyone and every germ and everything that can infect his life. And
no.
Yeah, but it's like it follows you everywhere you go. And that's the thing that I get out of it too, is whenever the dude comes in at the very end and we realize there's no bugs in the apartment at all, but this guy in his own little private chamber within his private chamber has just been eaten alive from the inside out. by these things. There's no reason the bugs should be inside of him.
No. But how would they have gotten there?
They explode out of him from the inside out. You realize that it's just like all of this shit that he has inside of him will follow him wherever he goes. The problem is him. The problem isn't all these other peons walking around on the streets that he's separated himself from. He's the problem.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool, personally.
I think it's a good story, yeah. And I think especially considering like the rise in greed in the 80s. That, you know, like to have this message of like, yeah, man, you can try to wall yourself off from the world and have all the money you want, but like you can't escape your own fucking fears and
mortality, everything.
And mortality,
yeah, you can't buy your way out of that, no matter how much you try to purchase that sort of protection.
Yeah,
everybody's got a price.
Yeah, for me, this is also pretty good. I think
it's cool.
I mean, it's better for me than the Crate, I would say. It's probably around a 6.
I'm gonna call Creeping Up on You more like a 7.5. I think that is pretty fucking cool. Yeah, I think that Lonesome Death is my favorite.
Yeah.
In this whole thing, and then probably my least favorite, I'm gonna say, is the Crate. I think is my least favorite one. But they're all cool. They're all definitely really cool. And then here at the very end, we get kind of the wrap up of the framing narrative here, where the garbage men.
Yeah, we get some Tom Savini.
As a trash man.
As a garbage man. And we have the voodoo doll, which Joe King kills his dad by stabbing a voodoo doll over and over and over in the throat.
And kills him.
And he kills him.
Well, here's the thing.
That's the end.
That I'll put out about that's so fun. Like, all this stuff happens within... I mean, this whole last framing bit is like maybe a minute. A lot of stuff happens really fast. Yeah. Where they pick up the comic book from the trash.
Yeah, they're flipping
like,
through it. And
it's like, oh, we could send off for this. Oh, looks like somebody's already sent off for this one. It's like the voodoo doll. Yeah. And the mom inside of the house is like ironing the dad's clothes.
And then he has like a cough.
Well, here's the thing. Did you notice whenever she's ironing his shirt, she picks it up and there's like a section cut out of the shirt? Okay. I didn't think much of it until I got to the very end. So she's ironing his clothes, and she holds up the shirt, and there's like a section cut off of it. And she's like, she kind of shakes her head. Like,
that's part of the voodoo doll.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
It's like a yellow shirt. And then whenever you see Joe Hill like stabbing the voodoo doll, he's wearing like a little yellow shirt.
Huh.
I know. Just like the weird detail to think, oh, and also he should have made it out of part of one of his dad's shirts.
Cool.
It's cool, man. It's definitely neat. I mean, ultimately, the framing narrative is like kind of inconsequential, I guess.
Yeah,
but I still like it.
It sets up the theme I was talking about of the dad authority figure thing. But other than that, there's not a whole lot. It's real quick too. Like the opening bit is quick and the closing bit is quick.
It's not like Tales from the Hood or anything like that, where there's like a driving storyline where, oh, now let me tell you about this tale before we get the shit. Oh, you'll get the shit.
Oh, you will most definitely get the shit.
You're gonna be knee deep in the shit. I love that movie. He's so awesome. But yeah, the framing device in this isn't really a driving force. It's mainly just bookends more than anything and introducing the comic book style. But to me, it's still way sick.
Still good, yeah. The one for Tales from the Dark Side was good. That was the one with the little kid and Debbie Harry.
Tell me stories while you put me in the oven.
But again,
and shit.
that one was like through in between each episode there was more of it, whereas this just beginning and end.
Yeah.
And I think that keeps it tight. This movie is 2 hours long, and
it's pretty big. If there would have been more of that framing narrative, it would have drug out. I think
they had Romero cut 10 minutes for distribution purposes, so there is conceivably a 2 hour and 10 minute cut. I imagine the 10 minutes isn't very important.
Yeah, I should think. I mean, to me, all the stories feel
I was gonna
pretty
nothing
complete.
Seems to be missing.
Yeah, pretty much to me. Lots of good acting, and like I said, there's a lot of like leave it up to your imagination stuff in the stories. But to me, the actors all pull it off so well that you're like, I think there was something they meant by this, and I can fill in the blanks myself.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that, you know?
Me too. So, yeah, I think if we just gave this an overall rating, what would you give it? I'd say this is about a 7.5.
7.5. I'm gonna go a solid 8.
Okay.
This is one of those ones that I think it probably, if I would have like grown up watching it, I would probably have the sentimental feelings about.
Maybe I do for sure, and I'm trying to look past them because what I'm thinking is like, this is a classic horror anthology and one of the most important. But when I think about tons of horror anthologies that have come out in the past 10 years, it's like, oh, those are better.
Yeah.
Like, they're way better anthologies than this. This is just a really good, tight, good anthology, all written by the same person, all directed by the same person, and all of the makeup effects and stuff done by the same person. So you get these 3 guys giving you their perspectives on these short stories, which is cool, but that's not how anthologies usually go. You usually get a lot of different perspectives, and it feels kind of like you're changing. Like, I think
changing channels or something. Yeah,
anthologies go fast because it feels like you're changing channels. Like, you're like, oh, I watched that bit. That's cool. Now I'm going to watch this bit of this and this bit of that. But this is a classic, for sure.
I agree, man. I agree. I really enjoy it. Again, great for the special effects. Mm-hmm. Great for soundtrack stuff, and all the framing and comic book panel stuff that they did in this, I think is really cool and innovative, and was a big risk too, because I could imagine a lot of people watching this and not getting it back then.
Yeah, I can too. The Tales from the Crypt movie had come out a few years before this, but it was I believe first off it was a British horror film, and it had more of that driving narrative in between, and Tales from the Crypt was a known property because of the popularity of the comic. So this was a little more out there, a little different. So yeah, but made money. So they knew what they were doing.
Yep. I'm a fan. One day I definitely want to do Creepshow 2 on here.
Yeah.
Which I actually saw, obviously, before Creepshow 1.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a little bit of an affinity for it. I think there's some really cool segments in Creepshow 2. Yeah, I think that the Hitchhiker is really cool.
Good. Yeah.
And the raft. The raft is really sick.
That one's,
There's some stuff in there that's not good, like Chief Woodenhead or whatever. That's not great.
That's got issues for sure.
It does. But there's some other stuff in there that's pretty dope. So we'll cover that on the show some sweet day. Some sweet day. Well, in the meantime, Steve, before we tell them what we're going to be doing on next week's episode, let's plug our shit.
At Dead Lovely Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
Yes.
Dead and Lovely Horror Movie Podcast on Facebook.
Yeah.
We have a Discord. If you want the link, I've posted it several times. If you still haven't seen that, email me. I'll give you the link.
See.
deadandlovelypod@gmail.com. That's our email address.
That's where you can reach us.
And head on over to our Patreon.
That's right.
Patreon.com/deadandlovely. And you too can decide which movies we do in the future.
Take the power away from the 1%.
Yes, that's what they say. Just last week we did Tim Stone's suggestion, Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, and upcoming in October we're gonna have another drawing. So go on over there real quick, become a $5 patron, submit a movie title, and maybe we'll be covering it in October.
Yeah, damn right. Be like one of the cool kids who's like, hey, you know that sick new episode of Dead and Lovely? Yeah, that was my idea.
Totally.
That's why I'm so popular and cool now.
Yeah.
I'm so cool, bro.
This is how our fans all talk.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're all from the valley. Yeah. Oh, totally.
Real.
We should do a whole episode like that sometime.
Absolutely. Right? Let's do Clueless and do that.
Yeah, and then our Patreon is like $0.
Negative. We now owe people money.
You owe Patreon money. We're taking your money now. All right, you guys be sure to tune in next week. We're going to be talking about Poltergeist.
Hell yeah, we are.
Which is one of my fucking faves.
Yeah.
I love
and a good
Poltergeist.
Way to kick off Spooktober.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Is that what it is?
That's what I'm calling it now.
Spooktober.
I think other people have called it that. I didn't make that up.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it. And, by then, boy, that's a crazy thought. By then, we might be recording in a new place.
Whoa.
Kate and I might be living in a little temporary housing scenario or have maybe bought another house by then.
That'll be cool.
So by the time we start that next episode...
Everybody will be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, but the acoustics are way different in here. I'll be way, way, way blackout drunk because I'll be like, my house fucking sucks. I'm fucked up. Once I stop drinking, I'm going to have the worst hangover. But if I don't stop drinking, I won't have a hangover.
That's true.
Yeah, so that'll be a fun episode.
That'll be great.
This house is clean. This house is a mess. There's boxes all over the place.
Oh, I thought you were going for some Zelda Rubinstein. This house is clean.
Oh, I was. That's why it was ironic. This house is filthy. There's boxes.
Not clean.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
That's why it's funny. Boom.
Yep, agreed.
So you guys be sure to tune in for Poltergeist next week. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for listening to the show. Be sure to rate and review on iTunes. If you give a shit, I hope you give a shit.
I hope you give a shit.
If you're listening right now, you probably still give a shit.
Yeah, if you've made it this far, you give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So go on over, rate and review on your podcast app of choice. And we will be seeing you guys next week on another brand new installment of Dead and Lovely. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. You guys have been fantastic. We've been Drab and Labbly.
Bye-bye. This is Labbly.
Bye-bye, Drab. Drab, bye.
Drab, bye.
I got to tell you, more and more that I think about it, I am really enjoying the concept of, you go to like a wedding or something like that. It's been advertised that there's a cash bar.
Right.
And you go up to the bar to get a drink and you're like, okay, I'll have a Jack and Coke. And like, all right, what's your song? And you're like, well, what do you mean? Well, it's a cash bar. You got to get your drink by singing a cash song. What are you going to sing or else you ain't getting no drink?
Oh, I hear that train coming.
Here you go, sir.
Rolling around. How far do you have to get into the song?
Finish the verse, and then you've got it. I ain't
seen the sunshine since
I don't know where. All right, here you go. Moving on.
It would be such a long line.
Yeah.
Especially the people who didn't get it.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? A cash bar?
Like low cash? Sing a low cash song?
Okay.
Absolutely not.
What is a low cash song? I don't even know one.
Yeah. Exactly.
There we go.
But then, like, you're in line, and you're just, like, waiting to get your drink, and, like, the asshole in front of you starts doing, like, one of the gospel hits, like, old Rugged Cross, and you're like, oh, for crying out loud, I'm going to be here all night.
And then, of course, somebody comes along thinking they're real smooth, and he's like, I hurt myself.
That's a Nine Inch Nails song.
He doesn't get it. No drink for you.
I'm thinking you get,
that's
like...
what he says. It's the drink Nazi back there.
Yeah, no drink for you. You get that like really annoying try-hard cute couple that does Jackson as like a duet. Like they've planned this out. Like they've done this before. And you're just like...
They saw Cash Bar on the invitation and they were like, fuck yes! They broke out the costumes.
Yeah, they got the whole routine down and stuff. But then it turns out it was actually just somewhere that they wanted like currency for a drink.
Like, no,
and they're
like,
why are you fucking singing
dollar papers, please?
Yeah, everybody in line's like, what the fuck are they doing?